and weather station.
9 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. KSL's top story this hour. Get ready to drop, cover, and hold on.
The Great Utah Shakeout is today, and it is at 10:15 a.m., and what we're practicing is drop, cover, and hold on.
Genevieve Keys with the Utah Department of Public Safety's Utah Division of Emergency Management says this is also a great time to review or create a family safety plan. Check that everyone has an up-to-date 72-hour kit and do a home safety inspection. Opening arguments are expected to start today in the case of a man accused of driving off the road and killing 2 young boys in Eagle Mountain. Prosecutors say Kent Cody Barlow was on meth when he drove off the road and crashed into a corral. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Dallas police are still trying to understand the motive behind a school shooting that sent 4 high school students to the hospital this week.
Soon after the shots were fired in a hallway at Dallas's Wilmer Hutchins High School, a video appeared on Instagram.
Told me he was going to kill me. Arties told me they was going to kill me. Look what happened.
ABC TV affiliate WFAA has verified that the person speaking is Tracy Haynes Jr. In the video, Haynes falls short of a confession, but does express some remorse.
I know I was wrong for what I did, but I didn't want to do it. But I had to do it.
The 17-year-old later turned himself in and was booked into jail. Jim Ryan, ABC News, Dallas.
Your money at this moment. The Dow is down 627 now. That's 1.5%. We're at 39,041. Coming up, we do have rain in the forecast for today. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:02. A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Discover the timeless value at Duke's Jewelers, a local treasure since 1948. Whether you're searching for a unique engagement ring or need expert watch repair, Duke's has been serving the community for over 75 years. It's the perfect time to visit and explore the wide selection of custom designs and quality gemstones. The skilled designers at Duke's can bring your dream piece to life, while experienced jewelers handle repairs and modifications in-house. Duke's Jewelers takes pride in value pricing, ensuring you receive the best prices every day. Need an appraisal? The Duke's Jewelers AGS certified gemologist is here to help. Whether it's hand or machine engraving, or redesigning old favorites into something new, get personalized service for every occasion. Visit Duke's Jewelers and experience the difference of locally operated expertise and dedication. Duke's Jewelers in Springfield, Utah.
It's Bullfrog Spa's Backyard Makeover Sale. Time to transform your backyard with unbeatable deals on Bullfrog Spa's hot tubs and swim spas. Right now, get up to $4,000 off MSRP on a premium new hot tub or swim spa, or up to 30% off clearance models. Plus, with special financing available, it's the perfect time to upgrade your outdoor space for ultimate comfort at an unbeatable price. Don't miss out on your dream spa at your nearby Bullfrog Spa's factory store today.
Bullfrog Spas. Peaceful body, peaceful mind, peaceful home.
Hello, I'm Joe Cordell, founder of Cordell & Cordell. Divorce is complicated, especially when your small business or professional practice is involved. At Cordell & Cordell, we understand that these assets raise unique valuation and allocation issues. For 35 years, we've helped doctors, lawyers, and small business owners navigate divorce with confidence. Call us at Cordell & Cordell. Let me tell you, I understand on a personal level, your business is much more than a job. It's your legacy. Visit CordellCordell.com to schedule your consultation.
Spring fever is heating up and Motorsportsland's Markdown Madness event is just beginning. Don't miss your chance to save big on your dream RV. Now through April 26th, score unbeatable deals on Utah's best RV selection. New travel trailers from $5 a day, fifth wheels from $14, and motorhomes starting at just $35 a day. With no hidden fees, just upfront pricing and a low-pressure buying environment. And mark your calendar for RV University, April 26th. Free seminars led by top manufacturers and our expert team. Seating is limited, so reserve your spot now at motorsportsland.com. For over 55 years, families have trusted Motorsportsland for honest pricing, flexible financing, expert service, and the best parts inventory in Utah. Markdown Madness ends April 26th, so come into a Motorsportsland RV Center today and let us help you get away.
Let Motorsportsland help you get away.
Motorsportsland.com.
teens can get up to $200 with a Teen Learn and Earn account. Plus, continue earning rewards as they master the essentials of finance. More at cypresscu.com/teen.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account with built-in benefits. And here's Heather Kelly.
Well, Main Street is closed at Park Lane in Farmington, and so everyone's having to take all these different routes, creating a lot of extra traffic on US 89, I-15, and Legacy Parkway. And combined with the rain, everything is pretty much a parking lot trying to head southbound toward downtown Salt Lake City. But you also have delays northbound through Utah County over the point of the mountain into the Salt Lake Valley due to the wet road conditions. That rain has turned to snow further north in Utah, especially if you're going through Cache County or Box Elder. Make your someday today. Start your dream kitchen or bath at Bedrock Quartz with 18 months 0% financing. Visit one of 7 Utah showrooms near you today or bedrockquartz.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
We've got rain in the forecast for today. Tomorrow morning, we might see some of that valley snow that they're getting in Sardine Canyon this morning. But we might get some down here along the Wasatch Front as well. And then we'll heat back up by Easter Sunday up to 65 degrees. Right now, rain in 44 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories. On KSL News Radio, Dave and Dujanovic. Dave and Dujanovic. Special coverage of the top local story.
And we begin this morning with a story of more than 150 dogs, mainly Chihuahuas or Chihuahua mixes, pulled and rescued from a home in a neighborhood in Ogden.
Absolutely incredible. 152 dogs. When I first heard this story, I thought, okay, they were being held on some sort of a farm, wide open spaces, because how could you not know that there was a neighbor of yours that had more than 150 dogs in that house? Like, you would absolutely, you would notice this, right? But apparently not. This has been going on.
In a moment, we're going to get live with KSL5 Television's Mike Anderson, who's been tracking this story and actually went to the home yesterday to knock on the door and kind of figure out what was going on inside that home. He's going to tell us what developed from there in just a moment. But in a shocking twist, it was 13 years ago that almost another 150 dogs were rescued from that home.
He really does love the dogs. And he puts his heart, his soul, and everything. He just doesn't have the financial means to get them all spayed and neutered and stuff like that.
And that is Brenda Gordon, who ran an animal rescue.
Yeah, back when he first had to surrender 149 dogs. And then this time around, neighbors realized something was wrong.
How did it get to this point? And it was heartbreaking to know that these animals, I don't know if they were mistreated, but they weren't taken care of.
KSL5 Television's Mike Anderson on the line with us live. He's joining us just right now. Okay, she's calling him up right now to get him on the line.
Yeah, I think when we look at this, it's such a fascinating and heartbreaking thing. And I've watched a couple reports on this. ABC News, and we'll address this maybe later on in the show, but ABC News did a great job of looking into the purpose of how animal hoarding happens in the first place.
So I have not experienced walking into a home where there's a situation going on, but I have walked into other homes as a TV news reporter, Dave, where I've seen other things that were, I would say, being hoarded. One case was ketchup bottles. I went in to do an interview with somebody who had been, a family member had been victimized by crime. And as I looked around the home as we were setting up our gear to start the interview, I saw there were ketchup bottles everywhere, and was particularly odd for me as many of them were just open and full and all like everywhere on the kitchen counter and also like on the coffee table in the middle of the living room. So I haven't experienced this situation, but Mike, you went to the house, and what did you see when you knocked on the door?
Yeah, Debbie, well, he did not answer, but there was a very strong smell coming from inside, and flies around the porch, and so very concerning situation.
you had a chance to talk to some of the neighbors that have witnessed this. Was there indications? Did they know that this was going on, and who stepped in finally?
So that's the crazy thing, right? Is the next door neighbor said he's like, I knew he had some dogs, but I had no idea. And other people in the area said, they had no idea either. But of course, as we discovered, this is the same house where there were 149 dogs taken from the same person 13 years ago.
Mike Anderson of KSL5 Television's been tracking the story of more than 150 dogs pulled from a home in Ogden. It was actually like in a neighborhood. Dave and I initially thought, well, maybe this was out in the middle of the country somewhere. Nobody would suspect this was going on. But no, it's actually in a neighborhood in Ogden where they've now rescued these 150 dogs. And I think a lot of people are going to be wondering, like, what happens to these dogs now? And then also what happens to the homeowner?
Yeah, and that's a great question, because back in 2012, the homeowner relinquished the dogs, said he was sorry. He got some he agreed to get some, mental health counseling, and that was it. And then you see he did it again. And in fact, I talked with a woman who tried to help him back then, and is still in touch with him. She ran an animal rescue and said that he would run under the idea that he too was an animal rescue, and became pretty known in the Hispanic community. In fact, would go on Mexican radio and Hispanic radio rather, and just talk about the importance of getting your dog spayed and neutered, stuff like that. And he got known to the point where he told her that people would like tie dogs to his fence and just leave them because they were just surrendering them to him.
Wow, incredible.
And so the big question is what happens now? And right now, the latest update is he's relinquished all the animals. 4 more dogs, by the way, were picked up, so it's a grand total of 156. And the investigation is still ongoing as to whether he will be charged this time or not.
I do wonder at what point does the health department step in? I would imagine when you have that many dogs trying to clean up after them or feed them, just the basics. The house, as you had described it, sounds like it could be a health hazard.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point, because I've been to other situations in the past where the odor was very similar, and homes were, declared unlivable, condemned. That's the word I'm looking for. So, does this happen here? I have no idea, but that's a great question, and I imagine there's got to be some kind of investigation into that.
Yeah, is there an indication that the dogs, or a timeline of when these dogs might find forever homes? What do we know about that, Mike?
Well, right now that's hard to determine for sure, but they're saying maybe next week, kind of midweek. But right now they're evaluating all the dogs, seeing what kind of health they're in. All of them were recovered alive, so that's the good news. But right now, don't know for sure.
Mike, thank you so much for joining us. Mike Anderson from KSL Television. You can watch his full report on KSLTV.com.
So, Dave, I think we both agree on this. We don't understand how this can happen. So we went down the rabbit hole this morning of looking into this to see if other reports have been done around the country on what's called animal hoarding. ABC News talked about it on one of their reports.
I spare no expense. They're my babies. I have no husband or children to worry about. They were my children.
One of the biggest animal hoarding cases ever. 250 dogs rescued from a home in Polk County.
Pit bulls and more than 100 pigeons found living in filth.
Across the country, men, women, young and old share an addiction unlike any other.
I look at it and just go, how did it get this way? How did I let it get this way?
The overwhelming need to collect and even control animals. The difference with animal hoarding is that this drug can love you back.
You're such a sweet boy.
Every year, thousands of Americans hoard more than 250,000 animals.
250,000 animals. This is not just an isolated incident in Ogden. This is happening all over the country, and to think that there are 250,000 animals that are being hoarded. The most profound statement of that entire report, Debbie, is when you're talking about addictions, this drug can love you back. And when we've seen hoarders, or perhaps we've been in homes of hoarders in the past, what makes this unique is these animals can love you back, and you have that affection, you have that attention, very different than many other addictions.
Dave and I talking about a situation in Ogden where now Mike Anderson, KSL5 Television, telling us that 156 dogs were taken from one home. All of them were taken alive, and that the person that was living there actually believed or feels like he was running an animal rescue. And clinical psychologist Karen Cassidy addresses that hoarders, people that hoard animals across the nation, feel like they have, they're doing this out of very good intentions.
It goes with every animal hoarder. They fail to understand that all their love is a good intention gone awry.
A good intention gone awry. And as we were talking to Mike Anderson, he said this gentleman in Ogden, same thing. He viewed himself as an animal rescue. He would advocate. He would go on the radio. He would talk about it. People would drop off animals at his house. So very much to what this psychologist was saying is a good intention gone awry.
Amy Donaldson, one of our coworkers here at KSL News Radio and at KSL Podcast. Also, you are one of these people that go into these situations, Amy, and you help rescue these dogs and at least give them a temporary home. I was at your house recently, and you had 2 dogs from another situation that had come out of like a hoarding circumstances, and they were cuddled on the sofa together. And wondering, did you find a forever home for those dogs yet?
Yeah, Sugar and Spice, they did find their forever homes, and they're doing great. I will say, listening to the psychologist, it's interesting. I have a little bit of I find myself having a visceral reaction to that, because I understand that it's a mental illness, and I do think that most of these people they go down this road unintentionally, and they have good intentions. But I know the horrific conditions that some of these dogs are living in. And if Sugar and Spice came from a situation where there were like corpses of other dogs and feces, and just it was a situation that no living thing should be in. And they can suffer long-term physical illnesses, and socializing them these 2 were pretty well adjusted for the situation, but they were younger. I've seen dogs that eat rocks, dogs that eat plastic, and they do that because their bellies are empty. And there's so many small little issues that arise out of these situations. And I think one of the things I'm hopeful for is that there is going to be some talk about how do we address this at the root problem, because the shelter system and the rescue community is already in crisis.
Like overwhelmed with animals?
Yes. Every shelter is full. I think I sent you an article, but I looked. Weber Animal Shelter, which I have taken cats, pulled foster cats from them, but not a dog. So one of the things that's really great is that the shelters and the foster community and the rescue community work together to make sure as many animals get help. So rural communities will say, hey, we have an unstaffed shelter and there's 6 dogs that got surrendered or whatever. And so they'll put it out to the rescues. There's a really great communal effort to make sure dogs get, like these Sugar and Spice were from the Uinta Basin, and they got to Best Friends pulled them, and rescues divided up the work. And that's really what's happening now. Is there's been this call that went out into the rescue and shelter community that said, anybody who can help, can you make room for these? Can you recruit new volunteers? And, ever since COVID, when everybody went back to work, COVID ended, everybody who adopted a pet, we had like 70 dogs return in 1 month in just our little rescue. And we're volunteer-based. Nobody gets paid, not the people who run our organization, not people like me who just find places in their house to foster a dog. And so they put this out, and what they're asking people to do right now is sign up to foster these dogs that are already at Weber. Weber was already at 100% capacity, and now they have, I don't know if you looked, but they have 90 kennels. They're 2-sided, so they can house safely 182 dogs. This one incident will practically fill it, and they were already at 100% capacity. So, I mean, they in 2017 they wanted to become no kill, and it's a fight every single day, and it's just getting worse and worse. And my fear is that if we don't start addressing some of these root problems like backyard breeding, I mean, you only have to go on a site like KSL.com and take a look at how many people are just breeding dogs. They don't vaccinate them. We've had dogs surrender to our rescue. Every shelter has had puppies dropped off. People leave them on the side of the road. There's just so many horror stories about it. And the people who do this work, those shelter workers that are dealing with this right now, what a trauma they are enduring. I guarantee you. And there's nothing available for them except on to the next problem.
Well, Amy, let me play this this sound bite from a therapist, this ABC News therapist that they had interviewed about hoarding and what happens in the future to these folks that tend to hoard.
Unfortunately, 100% of animal hoarders relapse if they don't receive treatment. And it's because it's painful for them to let go of the animals, because they feel like the animals give them perfect love and that they give the animal perfect love. And that feels like the only way they can derive satisfaction in life.
And what is so incredible is that appears to be exactly what happened to this man in Ogden. 13 years ago, 149 dogs were rescued, and then just yesterday or this week, 156 dogs. So an absolute relapse.
Yeah, and I think that it's an interesting one because these are living things and they don't really have rights. They're property, right? So it's a real dilemma. And I think the other issue that makes it complicated is what is hoarding? Someone could say they're running a kennel, or there is so much need right now that as shelters and rescues are really moving animals to save their lives, there are people who I know of have gotten involved and said, I'm a rescue, or I've set up this new rescue, and a shelter will give them animals because they're desperate, because they want to save these animals' lives. And it's just, there's not a ton of vetting, and it's complicated. But I think the shelter workers have gotten much, much smarter about who's a legitimate rescue. And if you're new on the scene, it might even seem like kind of like Mean Girls. There's like, why are you starting this? What's your plan? Where's your, how are these animals going to be housed? But
so they would be like 20 questions.
Yeah.
But the reason they're getting 20 questions about this is because the fear is that it will turn into something other than a rescue.
Yeah, because there are a lot of people out here who just set up something in their house.
Is
and
there
say,
a system,
rescue.
Amy, where, by the way, we're speaking with Amy Donaldson. She's a coworker of ours here at Broadcast House, but her side hustle has been for a very long time being involved in rescuing dogs. And is it cats too, Amy?
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Okay.
My daughter was my cat connection, and she's moved to Australia. But yeah.
So, is there some sort of and we have about a minute left. Is there some sort of a database where if I went in and said, "Oh, I can help. I've got space in my home," where they enter my name into a database and my home address, so they know that if I go to another shelter and say, "Oh, I got space in my home," and then I go to another one, is there some sort of a database that connects those dots?
Not really. I think shelters communicate with each other. But
Sure.
I would say if you're interested in volunteering or helping, work with an actual 501c3 or go directly to a shelter. You can help. Anybody anywhere in the state can help this particular situation by just going to their local shelter and signing up as a volunteer to foster. You could donate things. You can take dogs on walks. And if you pull a dog there, like I said, the shelters and the rescue community in Utah work really well together at moving dogs into a place where they can get adopted and that they can get medical care and help.
Yeah, that's important. Thank you.
Amy Donaldson, thank you so much for joining us. Just a shocking story coming out of Ogden. 156 dogs rescued from a single house.
And mainly Chihuahua mixes, right? And we're standing by to figure out what will they go up for adoption? When will they go up for adoption? KSL5 Television's Mike Anderson, who reports on issues related to situations in northern Utah, will continue to track that angle of the story, as well as the rest of the story as it develops. So we appreciate Mike joining us as well. Straight ahead, Dave spotted this one, a new Utah law expanding the number of students who can get free school lunch. But there's more to this story that caught your eye, Dave, and it was the potential for schools to expand the lunch break, right?
Yeah, give the kids more recess. We'll explain how school lunch and longer recess work together.
Jeff Kaplan. When I was a kid, my parents got me a subscription to Newsweek magazine. I would devour every page into the night. And to this day, I sit on my iPad looking for stories for my minute of news, flesh out our coverage, and I get to share the news with you.
Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News, 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
I had Mountain Home Services come into my house and install a furnace years ago, and it has been fantastic. It just works. It was reliable. It would heat up the house beautifully and efficiently. Well, Mountain Home Services has brought in another partner, Master Electrical Service. So as they've joined forces, there is incredible expertise.
So think HVAC, heating and air, plumbing. Think your electrical needs. Maybe you need a new EV charger, or you're looking for a generator. They do that too. You need that recessed lighting in the kitchen that you never finally installed. That's all on their agenda, their menu of choices for you.
And now as we're kind of living through the cold weather right now again, fireplaces, they still do fireplaces. It all comes with this upfront pricing guarantee. This upfront pricing guarantee tells you that when they come out, they give you a bid, they will honor that bid.
Yeah, so for you, that means no hidden fees. It also means 100% satisfaction guarantee.
Check them out online at mountainhomeservices.com. That's mountainhomeservices.com.
Or here's their phone number, 801-543-2222. Again, 801-543-2222.
And now, the moment we've all been waiting for.
Hit it. It's time to spring into summer with Soda Weight Loss. Because right now, you'll get our biggest discount of the year.
Are you serious? Yeah! Just 3 weeks in, and the pounds are dropping off very quickly. I am down 26 pounds in 3 weeks.
Every single day, Soda Weight Loss is helping people let go of the weight. Without drugs, without hunger, and the weight stays off.
I let go of 50 pounds. It felt unreal. I was so proud of myself. My body did exactly what it wanted to do. I just gave it its tools.
Let's spring into summer right now with Soda Weight Loss. If you want to look like this for summer, now is the time to join America's #1 weight loss company for client satisfaction and results.
Remember, this is our best offer of the year, so let's go.
Get started now at sodaweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com. Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
Did you hear? A recent stash of $10 gold Liberty coins from the 1800s has been found. These gorgeous gold coins are as bright and shiny as the day they were struck in the late 1800s. And less than 200 of these gold coins are available. Coin experts are calling this gold find an incredible opportunity. Call 1-800-917-4635 and you are guaranteed a $10 gold Liberty coin minted by the U.S. Mint in the 1800s. But with extremely limited availability, you must call now. These gold Liberty coins from the 1800s are still in uncirculated condition. That is history you can hold in your hand. To learn more, call 1-800-917-4635. Call now and you'll receive a free American Coin Collector's Bonus Package, a $40 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-917-4635 now to secure your $10 gold Liberty coins dated from the 1800s before they sell out. That's 1-800-917-4635.
This is Jeff Stout with Fink and McGregor, Mortgages Made Simple. News of recent layoffs reminded me of a quote from Bob Hope. A bank is a place that will lend you money if you can prove you don't need it. A periodic check of finances can prevent big problems later on. How much debt do you have? What are the payments? Do you have a rainy day fund? What would happen if you lost your job or had other unforeseen financial issues? Mortgage interest rates have been coming down, and there may be a window of opportunity to look at your situation in terms of a possible refinance and restructuring of debt. If you'd like to go over your situation, give us a call or take advantage of our quick application at 4minutemortgage.com. It might help. There's one way to find out. Give us a call. Fink and McGregor, Mortgages Made Simple, 801-264-9494. That's 264-9494. Or on the web at finkmcgregor.com, NMLS 289115.
Jeff Kaplan. When you're online, that's sometimes a source of fourth-hand information. Somebody does the reporting. Another website Googles, they find it, they rewrite it, and by the time you read it, you know the old game telephone. But KSL is a source of primary information. We have reporters on the street. They're out in the field finding out the details. And the difference between online and KSL News Radio, night and day.
Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News, 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Our top story, rain is expected to keep falling for much of the day before it turns over to snow tonight. KSL News Radio's Adam Small has details.
We're already getting snow in the mountains, but overnight into tomorrow morning, snow's expected to start falling as low as the valley floors. KSL meteorologist Matt Johnson says the valleys won't get much in the way of accumulation, but the window to see snow does fall during the morning commute. The benches could pick up a couple of inches.
Matt says the mountains along the Wasatch Front could get 4 to 12 inches of snow. The mountains in central and southern Utah could get even more. Southbound lanes of I-15 were closed overnight in Millard County for several hours after a wrong-way crash. The Highway Patrol says they responded to reports of a Tesla heading north in the southbound lanes. The car first sideswiped a semi-truck and then ended up crashing head-on into an SUV. The driver of the car and the SUV were rushed to the hospital in serious to critical condition. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Chinese online retailers are not just dealing with tariffs, they're also losing an exemption that allowed shipments under $800 to enter the U.S. duty-free.
Now, critics of that trade loophole says that it's harmed American businesses like Forever 21, which has filed for bankruptcy. But supporters of that trade loophole say that closing it is going to have a significant impact on American consumers that rely on these kinds of apps for very, very low prices for all sorts of goods.
That was ABC senior White House correspondent Selena Wang. Your money at this moment. Let's see where the markets are right now. The Dow is off 441. We're at 39,228. Coming up, yes, it's going to be a rainy day today. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:32.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
While the weather's mild, it's a perfect time to get your air conditioner ready for summer. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and the next time you're outside, take a look at your air conditioner. There's a few things you can do to avoid common breakdowns that happen at the beginning of the season. If you covered it for the winter, uncover it. If the bushes and shrubs are growing around it, make sure you trim them back about 18 to 24 inches. If the coils are dirty, rinse them off with your garden hose. Then go inside and make sure you have a clean filter. If you do all that and find yourself with an air conditioner that isn't working, consider calling Any Hour Services. We have an air conditioner troubleshooting special for any homeowners listening. For only $29, we'll send a certified HVAC technician to your home to troubleshoot why your air conditioner isn't working. Then they'll give you a summary of their findings and present you options to repair it. To find out why your air conditioner isn't working for only $29, call Any Hour Services today at 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
The weather is absolutely gorgeous. We're in the month of April. There are so many special things that are going on, and Ruth's Chris Steakhouse is the place for that wonderful meal that you have been wanting for a long, long time. Get the family together. Make a date with that person you love at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse with the most delicious steak you have ever had. Filet, New York, ribeye, and make sure that you have a chopped salad. That's the favorite for Dee and for me. But their wedge is wonderful as well. And of course, the mashed potatoes, the asparagus, the lobster mac, and of course, save room for a truly decadent dessert. I love the bread pudding. It's time to treat yourself to Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. Now, if you're catching a little spring skiing in the Park City area, have your meal at Hotel Park City Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. Or, of course, downtown Salt Lake City, 275 Southwest Temple.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account with built-in benefits. And here's Heather Kelly.
Well, the weather continues to wreak havoc on the roadways. If you are on I-15 trying to get in or out of Utah County or Salt Lake Valley, it is pretty much a parking lot, both northbound and southbound. We've had several accidents in both directions. The latest one, southbound I-15, just cleared a couple of minutes ago. You still have delays coming out of Davis County on I-15 southbound from Center Street in North Salt Lake into downtown. The rain turns to snow in the higher elevations like Parley's Canyon, Big and Little Cottonwood Canyons, and Sardine Canyon, where it's starting to stick. If you see something on the road we haven't mentioned, let us know on the KSL Mountain Home Services text line at 57500. Discover the value of Countertop Factory LLC, where high-quality, cost-effective laminate countertops transform commercial spaces. Visit countertopfactoryllc.com and get a quote within 24 hours. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
Today's high, we might have already seen it at 52 degrees earlier this morning. We'll have rain off and on today. That could mix with valley snow in the early morning tomorrow. Tomorrow's high will only be 50 degrees, but we heat back up to about 65 for Easter Sunday. Right now, rain in 43 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
You know, we talk about preschool lunch quite a bit over the years on our show. And in this new piece of legislation that was signed by Governor Cox, it's going to expand free school lunch for kindergartner through 12th graders. And it's going to actually impact, I think they say, at least at KSL.com in their article there, 40,000 children will benefit across the state from this. We'll talk more about that in just a moment, but there was something beyond the headlines in this legislation that caught your eye.
Yeah, it was tying lunch and recess together. And it was talking about expanding recess during the lunchtime hour. And if you're wondering, why would we expand recess for lunchtime?
That's exactly what I thought when you started to pitch this to me. I thought, that's really interesting. What's going on?
So my wife used to work in an elementary lunchroom. So what she would see is the kids love recess so much that they would go to the lunchroom, they would pick up their tray, they would immediately go from picking up the tray to dumping it in the garbage so they could go out and play at recess.
So they were dashing out the door to get to the swing set.
No interest in eating. They just wanted to get out and play, and they're going to start playing with their friends. And even if they would sit down, so they had to start forcing the kids. You have to sit down for at least 5 minutes and basically wolf down your food. And she said that's what the kids would do. They just like wolf down their food. They'd get up. Right at 5 minutes, they would get up. They would run out, and they would meet.
And also, who can blame them?
Yes.
Who can blame them? I mean, for some kids, I think a lot of kids, the favorite part of school is the playground. You know, it's not the lunchroom. So how much time did they have in total for, their lunch? I want to say lunch hour, but it's really not a lunch hour. Was it like 20, 25 minutes? And that's why they were in such a rush to get out the door? Yeah, exactly. The lunch recess is a little longer. Sometimes recesses can be 15 minutes and it's 20 minutes or 30 minutes. But whatever it is, it's never enough for the kids. So the idea would be, hey, let's expand recess, make it a little longer so that they don't feel rushed, that they can come in, sit down, eat, and then go play. Because what happens if they do just dump their tray, go out immediately? Well, now they've had fun, they've exercised, they've gotten out some of the jitters, but now how much hungrier are they when they've skipped lunch and had another recess, and then you come back to class? How do you focus? Yeah. And that's one of the biggest concerns. And in general, when we're talking about feeding kids and free and reduced lunches and providing breakfast, all of these things, it's with this argument that kids can't focus, kids can't learn if they're hungry. So let's walk through the list of things that this piece of legislation does at the school level. It expands free lunch eligibility. So it will take kids who are currently in a reduced lunch pricing category and give them a no-cost lunch. And they say it could affect 40,000 students will benefit from this. It does not include school breakfast. So it's lunch, and it'll take the kids from the reduced price lunch to you just get a lunch. And then there's also this, you and I have talked about this anti-stigma measure associated with it. So you can't have like a special like sticker on a kid's forehead. I'm being facetious, but I get the free lunch. I'm in the free lunch, enrolled in the free lunch program. Can't do, not that schools were, but it removes any question if they do, or different colored tray. You're thinking they do?
Well, sometimes they did.
Oh,
in fact, because this is what's so tricky about the school lunch program, and in part why schools would maybe put a little wristband on their kid, or tie a little something around their finger, just as a reminder of, hey, your account is empty. Remind your parents that you need to put some money back in their account to pay for school lunch. So there were times when it's like, hey, just remind your parents that, throw some money. I mean, there's times when I absolutely forgot to put money in my kids' accounts, and they ran out. I don't want to go in hungry. I appreciated the reminder.
But can you? And I'm not saying this happened, but I have been, in the past, like I remember getting stopped at membership club, and they wanted to upsell me on the membership when I was in line at the check stand, and they announced how much money I had spent. In the year. Yeah, I didn't.
Seriously?
So, okay, that's not the same. Okay, and I'm an adult. I can take it. But in the moment, I was not happy.
I bet.
Right?
I wouldn't be happy either.
Right? You spent $20,000 shopping here. Like, it wasn't that much, but it was like, stop. Yeah. Stop. You don't need, and of course.
Kids want no attention.
I can't imagine being a child and being stopped in the lunch line and be like, just so you know, your account is drained, and we've told you, tell your parents. So I'm seeing that point of view. Thanks for letting me know.
And part of the reason this is problematic is free school lunch is covered by federal programs, right? The federal government will pay. You just have to do some paperwork, and they will pay. Now, if you're on reduced lunch, or if you don't pay for it, they're not going to let the kids go hungry. But that does accrue a debt. And then because the federal government requires the paperwork to be done, if that isn't done, we're still feeding the kids, we're still spending the money, then that debt falls on the local school districts. Mm-hmm. And the local school districts can be hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt because of this. So what this legislation does, I think, in part is says, instead of just dumping this responsibility on the local school districts, let's have the state step in and make up some of that difference.
But let's get back now to what we were talking about a few minutes ago. It also would give the schools the ability to expand the lunch hour, air quotes, never an hour. I think my school lunchtime was 25 minutes. My kids was about the same. It's, wasn't an inordinate amount of time. But when you talk about trying to pack, going through the lunch line, getting your tray, getting to the table, wolfing down food, and then most importantly, getting yourself out to recess to get to the balance beam first, you think that this could be a good move if schools decide to do that?
I think it's one of the smartest things that schools could do. I absolutely think we do not prioritize recess enough. We don't invest in it enough. We don't give enough time. And the kids are begging for it. They are throwing their food away so that they can go out and play on the playground, right? They're begging for this. They want that interaction with their friends. They want to have the fun. But at the same time, let's be honest, if they're hungry and they're not eating, they're not paying attention in class afterwards. So we've got to figure out a way where we can give them enough time to eat in a relaxed environment, where they don't have to wolf down their food and still have time to go out and play.
Straight ahead, let's take live phone calls. Dave, are you on Team Dave? Are you for more school recess time during the lunch break that your kids are getting. Hey, if you're against it, it's okay. We won't tell your kid. You still want your phone calls. 801-575-TALK, 801-575-TALK. Do you agree with Dave that kids just need more time to play at recess during their lunch hour? We'll take your live calls next.
Do you hear annoying buzzing or ringing in your ears? If you or a loved one suffer from chronic tinnitus, you may have been told there's basically nothing you can do. Not true. Since 2003, Timpanogos Hearing and Tinnitus has helped over 8,000 patients treat hearing loss and decrease their experience with tinnitus. While there is no cure, there are very effective treatments available, including an exciting new FDA-approved treatment called Linear. Here's Utah audiologist and tinnitus expert Dr. Lane Garrett.
In my book, I'll show you the latest research and scientifically proven treatments, including Linear, which was recently approved by the FDA for the treatment of tinnitus, so you can finally find relief.
Get your free copy of Dr. Garrett's book, Take Your Life Back, at freetinnitusbook.com or call 801-770-4746 for more or to schedule a consultation. Let's quiet the noise and bring back your peace. Call 801-770-4746 or visit freetinnitusbook.com. That's freetinnitusbook.com.
Make the most of spring and summer with Apex Shed Company. Looking for the best storage solutions in Utah? Warmer days are here, and there's no better time to upgrade your backyard with a high-quality shed, greenhouse, chicken coop, or custom storage space from Apex Shed Company. Spring and summer savings are on, and tell them you heard this ad and take 5% off any shed, saving you up to $500. Perfect for organizing your tools, expanding your garden, or creating the ultimate backyard getaway. With over 30 years of experience, Apex Sheds take pride in crafting durable, beautifully designed sheds built to last. Just check out their glowing Google reviews. Enjoy the sunshine without the clutter. Visit apexshedcompany.com or call 801-754-3334 today. Apex Shed Company. Nobody builds a better shed. Hurry, this offer won't last forever. More details at apexshedcompany.com.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Look, if you're hey, my kids don't need any more recess time at lunch, no, get them back to class. How can you say that? Because I'm looking at this story in U.S. News and World Report. It says that the average child spends 8.5 hours a day sitting. So how can you be opposed to giving them 15 or 20 more minutes during the lunch break at school to get out there and play a recess? 8.5 hours a day sitting. They probably spend more time sitting, whether it's in the classroom or at home, than they do sleeping. That is a lot of sitting.
Wrap your head around that, Deb. They're getting more sit-down time in school, in a home, than they are actually in their bed. Mm-hmm. Like, that is just absolutely an aha moment for me.
Dave and I talking about new legislation that will go into effect that could potentially, if schools lean into it, it gives the schools the option to expand the lunch break for kids. And Dave, you pointed out why this is important, because your wife once worked in a lunchroom at a school, and what she saw was...
The kids would literally take their trays, and they would walk out, and they would dump it immediately into the garbage, like a full tray untouched, would dump it in the garbage so they could go immediately out to recess.
They were bolting to the playground.
They were bolting. They had to put a rule in place where you had to go sit down, and I think they had to sit for at least 5 minutes. And then the lunch lady my wife would be like, all right, you're 5 minutes up, and the kids would spring out of their seats like they were Jack in the Boxes. They were just out and they were gone because they were so excited about lunch recess. Lunch recess, it's 30 minutes long, Deb. This is like the greatest thing. And I don't think we prioritize getting kids out, playing at recess, getting some exercise, getting the jitters out.
I think unstructured playtime is important. I think it does need to be supervised. It doesn't have to. You don't have to be in the middle of it as an adult, but certainly, on the playground, there should be some supervision going on. Make sure everybody's playing nice. But I think unstructured playtime is also important for kids. It brings out the creativity in them. It lets them get the wiggles out. It gives them a break from learning. I know I remember I was studying in college when there is no recess. I learned better when I would study for 30-minute blocks, and I would absorb that information, and then I would take a 20 or 30-minute break. Sometimes that was a nap. Sometimes that was a quick walk, and I would come back and hit the books again. That's was my perspective in college. I can imagine how much that type of structure, in terms of giving kids more recess time, a break from their books, a break from learning, could help them learn.
I'm looking right now in the Davis School District, one of the schools. I'm looking at their bell schedule, their recess schedule. First bell, 8:55. School begins at 8:55. They get out at 3:30. So they're 6.5 hours, right? In those 6.5 hours, they get 2 15-minute recess breaks.
Okay, that's actually like 10 by the time they get out the door.
Exactly.
Okay, get back in, lined up, and get back in. Okay.
Totally.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So you're basically out playing for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
You come back, and then you've got a 35-minute lunch and recess break. So during the day, you have a grand total. These little kids, elementary school, have a grand total of an hour of break.
Jennifer, you live in Sandy, and you're a former teacher and also a parent. So are you for or against expanded recess time at lunch?
I can see both sides, having been a teacher and having kids in the public school system. And actually, most recently, I have been a substitute teacher in Canyons District and have seen how a lot of schools, the teachers are feeling pressure to teach so much curriculum in a day. And on top of that, dealing with discipline issues, that reduces the amount of teaching time that teachers have. But at the same time, these kids, they really they must have a break. They're children. If you told an adult they couldn't have their 15-minute break when they're on their feet all day working or whatnot, no, that wouldn't fly. And these are kids. They for their development, for their brain, for their learning, they need to have that break. They absolutely need to. And that's better for the teacher, too, to have that break as well and have a fresh classroom come in. These kids come in and they're exercised and they're more ready to learn.
Outstanding, Jennifer. Thank you so much for the call. Elizabeth in Far West, what do you think?
Oh, I'm for it. Back when I was in elementary, we had anywhere from 90 to 120-minute breaks. And that would be split up. Remember the top couple of times the breaks that you'd have? But you have an hour lunch, period. That's the way it was. And I don't know why these kids are being shorted. They need it.
Yeah.
They are.
I know.
Shorted.
Elizabeth, that's a great way of saying it. And I bet you they don't even know it. They don't even know it. Tracy, you're in American Fork, and you said your son's a student that school's already implemented having recess, before lunch?
Yes, they noticed that kids were dumping their trays to hurry and go outside, and so they just implemented doing lunch first. And so the kids go to lunch and then, they go to recess first. They go to recess first, and then the teachers pick them up and after lunch. So teacher aide takes them to the lunch after their recess, and then their teacher picks them up from lunch.
I like this idea. Do you notice an improvement?
For sure. Yeah. That way they get both. They aren't dumping their tray, but they get their playtime.
Probably hungrier, too, by the time they get
easy fix.
The lunchroom. Thanks for the call.
What a great thing. What an easy fix. Thank you, Tracy. Michael in West Jordan, what's your experience?
Well, my wife is a teacher, and their school, they have kids have recess before lunch.
Yeah.
And then the teacher comes and gets them after recess, after lunch, I mean.
Yeah, that's what we just talked to our one of our listeners, Tracy in American Fork. They're doing the same thing there. Michael, you live in West Jordan. It sounds like they're experimenting or have done that there. Got a text from one of our listeners at 57500 with this, how about doing recess before lunch to avoid the kids not eating? So people are chiming in on that idea.
Okay, so this caller left a message, said during school lunch, she didn't like going on the playground, didn't have a lot of friends, would rather have played games inside, pitching a one-day-a-week activity for games for kids.
Love it.
Let me tell you, there was something that my wife, again, she's worked in the elementary school for the last 7 or 8 years, and she has been the lunch lady. She was also a recess coach. And it was a great program, a fantastic program where you could have that just go out, play with your friends, do your own thing. But for the kids that maybe were lonely, she would have games organized, and you could come play the organized, everybody's included, and the teacher would run that. So for those kids, it's fantastic. It's one of the best programs out there. And for the kids that aren't maybe as outgoing or doesn't have that group of friends, she would just go over to kids that look lonely. She's like, hey, come play with me. We're playing this game. Come play with me. And that was outstanding. So I see such great potential in recess. I think we undervalue it. I don't think we give it enough time. I don't think we give it enough resources and attention. So I loved when I heard this law being passed that they're connecting the two. They see the value of recess and lunch, expanding it, make sure kids are getting some food, but also have a chance to get out some of that energy.
Well, there we go. The Dave and Dujanovic Show, making life more fun for children.
It's what we do.
I love it. Straight ahead, Dave and I take through our wins and fails for earthquake safety in our own homes as we and the rest of Utah gear up for Utah's annual safety drill at 10:15 this morning. That's right. We're gearing up for the Great Utah Shakeout straight ahead.
KSL offers the best daily newsletter in the state. It's the 3 things you need to know. Every weekday, we deliver quality and relevant content to your inbox. No ads, no spam, just the 3 things you need to know to be informed about the world around you. Subscribe today. Visit KSLNewsRadio.com or text the word inbox to 57500. That's inbox to 57500.
I'm Utah Tax Attorney Jordan Wilcox. Listen to what actual clients have had to say about working with us.
I'm Paul. I'm a contractor. I had a tax problem that was pretty significant. Needed some help with the IRS. I had prepared my taxes for a few years, but when I went to file them, I didn't have any money to pay those taxes. And so I just filed the returns in my drawer and went about my business. And about 3 years went by when I did that, and pretty soon I owed $102,000. And I met with Jordan, and we talked about the hole I dug myself into. And from start to finish, the process was encouraging, supportive, saved me about $80,000, $102,000 to $22,000. No complaints.
Hi, I'm Jordan Wilcox. You need a tax attorney that's not afraid to fight for you. Schedule your free consultation today. Visit endtaxworry.com.
The relief is immeasurable.
Don't wait. End your nightmare. Your relief starts at endtaxworry.com.
Do you suffer from depression? The Department of Psychiatry at the University of Utah is currently seeking people between the ages of 18 and 65 who have depression to take part in a comprehensive treatment study. The goal of this study is to see if 2 naturally occurring supplements will improve depression in people living at higher altitudes. Participants will take the supplements for 8 weeks, and the study lasts 12 weeks in total. Participants must already be taking an SSRI or an SNRI medication for at least 8 weeks. Compensation will be provided to study participants. Again, if you are between the ages of 18 and 65 and suffer from depression that hasn't responded to usual antidepressants, the University of Utah is conducting a study that may help. For more information or to take part, please call 801-581-3475 or visit altitudedepressionstudy.com. That's 801-581-3475. or altitudedepressionstudy.com.
Hello, Utah. I'm Josh with IWC Roofing. For over 25 years, my family has been safeguarding your homes with the finest roofing solutions. We value your time, and we're committed to replacing most roofs in just 1 day with a peace of mind 50-year shingle warranty. Call us today at 801-232-5690 or visit iwcroofingutah.com. Ask us for the $1,500 off any full roof replacement. Financing available, 801-232-5690. Utah homeowners, look no further than IWC Roofing for a roof that stands the test of time. With 25 years of excellence, IWC is your trusted family-owned roofing expert. At IWC, we offer one-day roof replacements with top-tier quality materials, all with a 50-year shingle warranty. To keep a leaky roof from dampening your day, we're offering $1,500 off a full roof replacement. Get a free estimate. Call 801-232-5690 or visit iwcroofingutah.com. 801-232-5690.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? When it comes to Big Wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular to get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month, and now for a limited time, new customers can get their second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit a store near you, or consumercellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for autopay and e-billing. Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
KSL FM Midvale, KSL Salt Lake City.
10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. KSL's top story, the Great Utah Shakeout takes place in about 15 minutes. It is a statewide earthquake drill to get everyone thinking about emergency plans.
Drop where you're at, cover. If you can get under a desk, or if you don't have a desk, you can cover using your hands over your head and neck and hold on and wait until the earthquake is over.
Genevieve Keys with the Utah Department of Public Safety's Utah Division of Emergency Management says this morning's shakeout is scheduled at 10:15, but you can hold a drill at any time with your family. Opening arguments are taking place today in the case of a man accused of driving off the road and killing 2 young boys in Eagle Mountain. Prosecutors say Kent Cody Barlow was on meth when he drove off the road and crashed into a corral. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. A major pharmaceutical company says it has made progress developing a weight loss drug that does not require injections.
Eli Lilly says its once-a-day GLP-1 pill produced promising results in a late-stage trial of type 2 diabetes patients. The drug maker says it reduced average blood glucose levels by 1.6%, a significant number, and produced up to 16 pounds of weight loss. More data is expected later this year.
ABC's Brian Clark reporting. Your money at this moment, the Dow is off 484 right now. That's 1 2/10%. We're at 39,184. Coming up, rain through the day, maybe some snow on the valley floor tonight. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:02. Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Do you want to make your house more comfortable, more energy efficient, more valuable? Well, maybe it's time you took a look at your doors and windows. And there's nobody around who does doors and windows better than Peach Doors and Windows.
Improve the functionality of your home with custom replacement windows, entry doors, patio doors. Maybe you have a sunroom or you want a new custom front door and windows to maximize the beauty of your home. Peach offers flexible financing available to fit any budget. They've got expert installation, including fiberglass doors, which are their specialty. And they'll replace your windows with the highest energy efficiency rating.
And customer service is a top priority. It's the reason why they have so many 5-star reviews on Google. You can check it out for yourself. You can also check them out online at peachbuildingproducts.com. You can call for a free in-home estimate, 801-566-1255.
Or see them in person, 2940 South, 300 West in Salt Lake City. They're open 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday. Go check out their beautiful showroom. It's Peach Doors and Windows.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out collection letters, garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it even harder to get out of debt. Don't let tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in taxpayer assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Let them fight on your behalf, helping to put your tax problems to rest. Call the tax professionals at Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-783-8055. 800-783-8055. 800-783-8055.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Every year, we seem to have a few people trying to get our free furnace promotion after the sale has ended. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and I know you want to save as much money as you can, but that's not how sales work. When they're over, they're over. Lucky for you, we still have a few more spots on our schedule we need to fill, so I'm extending the sale, but I'm not quite sure for how much longer. Definitely no later than April 30th, and once I think our schedule's full enough, I gotta pull these ads, so don't wait too long to call and schedule your free estimate. Just to recap, when you have Any Hour Services install a new air conditioner, we'll give you a new furnace for just the cost to install it. About $400. The furnace is free, you just pay the labor. So if your furnace and air conditioner are ready to be replaced, don't be one of those people that wishes they had called and taken advantage of our free furnace sale. The estimate's free, and we'll make sure you have all of the information you need to decide if our free furnace sale is right for you. If you think you might be interested, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account with built-in benefits. And here's Heather Kelly.
Well, it's still a crawl on northbound I-15, trying to get out of Utah County over the point of the mountain, almost up to 90th South and Sandy. That is all due to the weather, wet roads, a lot of spray kicking up from tires. We also have accidents happening because of the weather. We've got a jackknife semi on the connecting ramp from eastbound I-80 to head northbound I-215 right near the airport. The good news is this semi is over on the right shoulder, but at some point they'll have to close that connecting ramp in order to get that semi back on track. And then you've got another crash on the west side belt. This is I-215 southbound right near 700 north of blocking the right lane and shoulder. UTA is road therapy. Give your car a break and get more U-time. Plan your trip at rideuta.com or on the Transit app. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
Highs today will stay in the low 50s with rain off and on. Tonight, the temperatures drop and we could see an inch or two of snow on the benches, might even reach the valley floor. Let me see what our current temperature is. We've got rain and 42 degrees right now. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
There is going to be an earthquake drill in about 9 minutes from now. It's called the Great Utah Shakeout. Dave, you and I have been doing the Great Utah Shakeout for years now on this show because we like to know that we're ready if an earthquake were to hit. And in 2020, we learned that there's still a lot more to learn when the earthquake, the 5.7 magnitude, hit.
The only person in the Noriega family that knew what they were doing was the 10-year-old. Who actually dropped covered and held on.
Is that Jacob?
Jacob was the only person. I'm yelling to everybody. I'm probably causing all sorts of chaos. I'm like, it's an earthquake. I'm running around the house telling everybody, it's an earthquake.
What did he
Get
do?
in the doorway.
Well, yeah, you don't. That's a big don't. We're going to get to our list of wins and fails that we've experienced in terms of safety steps in our own homes since the 2020 earthquake. And then I am going to walk out of here and then find a place to drop, cover, and hold on during the drill at 10:15. We invite you all to practice along with us. But what did Jacob do in that moment that was so heroic?
He was in bed. He rolled out of bed. He dropped to the floor and then rolled under his bed. And then he held on. It was literally the drop, cover, and held on. It was amazing. I'm like, what are you doing? Oh, and so I don't know. I think we look at it and we think we know what we're doing, but when the chaos happens, have you trained? Have you thought about it? Have you actually practiced it? Because you're going to feel maybe a little bit silly doing this in the middle of the day, dropping, covering, hiding under your desk.
And holding on.
But when it hits, when every military outfit, every athlete, every coach knows we train over and over and over again. I don't care how well you think you know it. It needs to be second nature. And that's something that I appreciate with the Great Utah Shakeout is it's asking us, just do it. You're just training. I know you've shot 1 million free throws. Shoot 1,000,001 because it's not going to hurt you.
So since the 2020 quake, the 5.7 magnitude quake. It hit March 18th of 2020. You and I have taken measures in our own homes to improve safety in case we get another earthquake here. It's not a matter of if, we've talked about that, when. It's a matter of when. So give me like 3 action steps you've taken in your own home to make things safer.
One of the biggest, and this I hadn't even thought about, is there anything set up hanging over your bed? Like, is there a bookshelf over your bed? And are there pictures that could wiggle off and fall?
Trophies?
And I'm like, yes. My kid, I had like a minefield. It was like shrapnel all over the place, directly over his head. If there was an earthquake, it'd be like track trophy, just raining down.
You've also learned, don't stand in the doorway.
Do not stand in the doorway. The reason I thought you stand in the doorway is because, that's the most secure and you've got the double header. No, you've got a swinging door that's going to chop your fingers off.
Right. And that you've also learned to secure things, right? To secure things, like remove this stuff from over your kid's head, of course. You don't need all the awards stacked over their heads. You don't need anything stacked over their heads. Move those to the dresser. But then also like those heavy things, those heavy items. I think you said your wife makes sure those are secured.
Yeah. There's the one that I just popped into my mind right now is I had a console under the television that I secured. It was kind of thin and could tip over, so I secured it to the wall.
Adam Hiscock is earthquake geologist at the Utah Geological Survey. Good morning. And in about 4.5 minutes, I'm going to run out of the not run. I'm going to calmly walk out of the studio and go hide, drop cover, and get under the desk out there and hold on with one hand. But in the meantime, why don't you give us the lowdown on how likely it is that we're going to get a larger earthquake along the Wasatch Front or elsewhere here in Utah?
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me on. I'm going to do the same thing here in about 5 minutes. So, anyway, like as everybody knows, we do live right on a pretty major fault zone, the Wasatch Fault Zone, that runs up and down the Wasatch Front. And through a bunch of studies we've done, we think that, or we know that there's roughly a 43% chance, low 40% chance of a magnitude 6.75 or a greater earthquake in the next 50 years, somewhere in the Wasatch Front region.
Say that again,
and
Adam?
that goes up.
Say that again? What are the
Sorry, a
likelihoods?
low 40% chance of a magnitude 6.7 or greater earthquake. So that's like a whole size larger than the Magna earthquake we had back in 2020. And we do multiple studies on the fault to come up with those probabilities. And we're actually working on a new study currently to refine those probabilities in the wake of the Magna earthquake.
When you talk about the big one, I guess can we expect? Like how much damage? I think sometimes when we look at tornadoes, like it's an F1 or an F5 tornado, we can see the damage. When the big one hits compared to what we had, what can we expect?
For a magnitude 6.7 compared to the magnitude 5.7 we had in 2020, we can expect, much more intense ground shaking, and a lot more damage to older homes and buildings. I heard you guys talking about stuff on your walls, for example, and making sure things are secure. If you have a much higher level of shaking, you're going to have a lot more stuff falling off walls and getting thrown around in your house. So yeah, that's kind of like it's earthquake magnitudes are measured on a logarithmic scale. So the amount of energy released logarithmically, it's a lot higher for a 6.7 than a 5.7, essentially, hundreds of times higher.
Adam Hiscock is an earthquake geologist at the Utah Geological Survey. And as you know, because you're going to do the Great Utah Shakeout along with me and thousands of other Utahns in just a few minutes, it happens at 10:15 this morning. So we got about a minute and a half. So why don't you give us maybe your best 45-second tip that you would like for all of us to accomplish at home to improve earthquake safety in our homes?
Yeah, you already talked a little bit about drilling and practicing. That's very important. Drop, cover, and hold on, like we're going to do here in about a minute. Also, I would say the other most important thing is probably to have an emergency kit. Ideally, an emergency kit should last a couple weeks, but if you could also, 72 hours bare minimum, and that would include like food, water, first aid kit, flashlight, batteries, sanitation supplies, that kind of stuff. So build an emergency kit, make sure your family knows where it is, and have a plan with them.
Is it fair to say it is unlikely that the building that you're in or the home is going to come crashing down on you, but it is entirely possible that things will jar loose and come down maybe in chunks versus the entire home or building?
It really depends on how old of a building you're in. We have a lot of unreinforced masonry homes in Utah that are pretty unsafe. If you're in newer construction, it's less likely the whole building's going to come down. So as always, just making sure things are secure is like the best way to start.
Well, Adam, we appreciate you taking the time. We'll let you, now that we've got like 5 seconds left before the beginning of the Great Utah Shakeout. Thank you so much for joining us, earthquake geologist at the Utah Geological Survey. But as you heard him say, there's a 40% chance that in the next 50 years that we will have the big one hit us, and what that looks like. So it is now 10:15, folks. It is time for the Great Shakeout, the Great Utah Shakeout. So what you're supposed to do right now, drop, cover, and hold on. So go ahead and find a place where you can drop down. Debbie is actually dropping, covering, and holding on as we speak, as oftentimes we've done this over the years. Debbie, walk us through.
Hi, Dave.
How's it going?
I walked out very calmly to the newsroom, and now I am hiding under the producer desk pod. I'm dropped, I covered, and I'm holding on with one hand. According to the Great Utah Shakeout earthquake safety sheet, you hold on with, let's see, it says hold on with one hand. And then if you don't have an area to hold on to, they say, like, make sure you cover your neck and your head, because I'm under a desk right now. So thankfully we don't feel any ground shaking today because this is just a drill. But also I thought this was interesting on the Great Utah Shakeout website. They say if you use a walker or a wheelchair, lock your wheels. Because that'll help keep you in place. And then carefully, as low as possible, bend over, cover your head, cover your neck with your arms, grab a book and cover your head, or even a pillow.
So you've got the drop, cover, hold on. If you're in a walker or a wheelchair, you lock your wheels, cover, and then hold on. We are now past the 20 seconds or the 30 seconds that earthquakes typically last. Sometimes we think that we're going to have to stay dropped and covered for minutes, but largely earthquakes will only last 20, 30 seconds. Sometimes the big ones will last a little bit longer, maybe even a couple of minutes, but largely it's done with. So Deb, you are done with the Great Utah Shakeout.
Well, here's the deal now. I am slowly and calmly walking out of the building because I'm going to evacuate. And I just want to give everybody a word of warning. When you get up from your drop, cover, and hold on position from under your desk, don't do what I just did and bang your head on the top of the desk. So there you go.
I heard a thump. I wasn't sure where that came from.
Did you hear me say ow?
Yeah, like, ooh, oh, man.
I was like, ouch.
Okay,
And also, I don't have my security badge with me, I realized. So you're going to have to come let me back in the building, Dave.
Caitlin, you got to let her back in. She walked out.
I'm sort of prepared, yes.
Okay.
This is one of the lessons learned, right? Lessons learned. Leave it around my neck.
Yeah, this is something that's interesting because when it did happen, I remember when you left the building, it was a little bit chilly outside, and hadn't you wished, you're like, man, I wish I would have brought a jacket, or I think maybe that was our producer.
Another big mistake I made today is I did know that the temperature was going to be cold and it was going to be rainy. And as I left my house, I did not go back inside, realizing I'd forgotten a jacket. I blew it off. Again, I didn't want to waste time getting my jacket, and now I'm realizing if I had to stand outside of a building for an hour and a half during an earthquake, a real earthquake, I would be freezing, and I would be extremely wet because it's downpouring downtown right now.
I was thinking about the 72-hour kit, and so many of us have these 72-hour kits. But one thing that I absolutely do not have, I don't have any kind of a go bag at work. And if I'm at work 8-10 hours a day, why wouldn't I have some sort of a go bag that if an earthquake happened, I duck cover or I drop cover and hold on, and then when I'm evacuating, take a short little detour to my desk, grab the go bag with maybe a candy bar, a water, and a blanket to take out with me.
Yeah, that was a mistake that I made back in March of 2020 as well. I did not have a jacket at my desk, and if you remember that day, it was not snowing, but it was very cold outside, and we evacuated Broadcast House. We were standing on like the south lawn area for quite some time. I didn't have proper shoes on. I didn't have a jacket on, and I was just lucky that it wasn't a lot colder than it was that day. I did manage to remember to grab my cell phone, though, that day, so I could let my family and friends know that I was okay. My sister was texting me. My parents were texting me. That's another lesson I learned, is we did not have a family plan for when something like this happened. So I didn't have anybody lined up out of state to have my kids call or text to let them know they were okay as well. Like, you know what I mean? Like a central person lined up who knew, like, hey, if there's an earthquake in Utah, we're prone to earthquakes or the potential for them, that you will be our point of contact as a family.
And part of the reason that would be so crucial is because we all may be free at different times. Perhaps we have service and services coming in and out, but if we can call that one central person, then we're golden, right? We can call them, say, hey, listen, I'm doing fine. I'm here in Syracuse. Have everybody meet me here. Or we're all going to travel to Salt Lake, whatever it might be, whatever your game plan is. But when we had this training with my kids, it was when my kids lived in the house. What do I do now with my married children and their in-laws? What are their plan? Is their plan different now than mine? What's the expectation?
I'm back. I'm back in studio.
It was close.
Genevieve Keys with Utah Department of Public Safety's Utah Division of Emergency Management. That was fun.
Hey, yes, it was. I just ran back inside, so apologies if I'm out of breath.
Did you? I bumped my head when I was getting up from under the desk. I was but I'm okay. I'm okay. So lots of lessons and lots of takeaways from our experiences back in 2020. Give us some tips on how we can improve our earthquake safety starting today, Genevieve.
Absolutely. Well, the first thing that we want to do is what we did today, our yearly earthquake drill, the Great Utah Shakeout. And keep in mind, we don't have to wait once a year to do that. We can practice this drill monthly if we need to with our families. We can become a lead in our office for this initiative if you want. I strongly recommend it because an earthquake can happen at any time. It's not going to happen when you're at home. It could happen when you're at work, or it could happen when you're shopping or at church.
I can tell you right now, if we were just sitting there watching some Netflix and I stood up and I said, drill time, it is earthquake happening right now, what do you do? All I would get is a bunch of kids looking at me with their eyes wide open, completely paralyzed by fear. Because, it's one of those things you just take for granted. Oh, well, I mean, we talked about that one time. I think training and drilling is so overlooked. And like you said, we don't need to just wait once a year to do this. Next time you're watching Netflix, do a drill. Just stand up and say, earthquake is happening right now. What do you do?
Exactly. So it's important to practice because we want to build that muscle memory. So when an earthquake actually happens, that we're not wasting those important seconds that take to save lives. Those seconds are important, that we know exactly what to do, and that's to drop, cover, and hold on.
that's what I wanted to ask you. When I was out in the newsroom, I realized when I walked out there, I didn't pre-plan this at all. I just randomly picked the producer pod desk because it's really close to, the studio here. When I went to grab on, there wasn't a good pole to grab onto. There isn't a leg. It is it's just a wood. So is it recommended you grab on with just one hand to the place that's the most stable to hold on to, Genevieve? Yeah. And why just one hand?
I don't know the answer to just one hand.
Oh, I thought that's what the recommendation was. No, don't worry about it. We can look into that.
Okay, for sure. I will too now. Thank you.
I mean, it's because it's really hard to grab on with two hands, maybe, but I'll look into that a little bit more.
It does say be ready to move with your shelter if it shifts. It's one of those things where I think oftentimes we look at, oh, okay, I've got a plan. Oh, no, we've got things moving all over the place. Part of the reason why I thought the lock, cover, and hold on advice is amazing. If you have some sort of a walker or in a wheelchair, you want to lock those wheels, then cover and hold on.
Mm-hmm. And the key there is you want to make sure that you can get as low as you can. And you're not always going to be able to find a shelter to hide under.
Right.
You want to make sure that cover is not just to get under a piece of furniture. That is to protect your head and neck, the two very important parts of your body. So we want to make sure you protect your head and neck. If you're in your bedroom and you have a really low to the floor bed, you have nothing to get under, you can grab a pillow and cover your head and neck with that.
Genevieve, thank you so much for joining us. It's the Great Utah Shakeout. We just drilled ourselves here at KSL, so thank you.
Me.
Debbie smacked her head on the way out. That's fine. That's going to happen, right? You just don't. We can deal with a few bumps and bruises, but we want to keep the rest of us safe.
And let's make sure we give them the website where you can get more information on this, BeReadyUtah.gov, right?
Yep, BeReadyUtah.gov.
All right, straight ahead. I was just reading up on this deadly passenger plane crash in South Korea. It happened in December. The plane was brought down by birds. At least preliminarily, that's what they think. It was a bird strike. And it was shocking to me as I started looking into this, Dave, how often birds wreak havoc on airplanes. I had no idea, but I have some data that I think will have your eyes open wide, and I'm going to share that with you next.
The murder of two men forces their families to wrestle with impossible questions. Who is forgiveness for? Does everyone deserve a second chance? Follow Season 2 of The Letter, Ripple Effect, at theletterpodcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
If you're looking at losing some weight this spring, going into the summer, let me tell you, Salt Lake City fat loss worked phenomenally well for me. And I love hearing from people. They'll come up to me and just like, Dave, I joined Salt Lake City Fat Loss. It was incredible. And they give me their number. They're so proud. And I always ask them this, how hard was it? And invariably people will say, not as hard as I thought it would be. And that is absolutely the message I want to pass along to people is we build up in our mind when we want to make some big changes in our life, when we want to lose some weight, we think it is nearly impossible, that we'll just be starving ourselves for the next couple of months. That is not the case. You don't have to cut out cookies for the rest of your life. With the Salt Lake City Fat Loss Program, they teach you how to acknowledge that you have some bad habits, how to fix some of those, and then once you lose that weight in the first 2 months, it's a reduction phase. Then they teach you how to reintroduce some of those foods into your life that maybe you abused a little bit. So if you're interested, go ahead and reach out to Salt Lake City Fat Loss. I lost 57 pounds in 60 days. It was fantastic. Go ahead and check out their website. Schedule a free consultation at slcfatloss.com. That's slcfatloss.com.
Make Mother's Day easy this year and get the best gift ever, a blanket from Minky Couture. Minky Couture creates the amazingly soft, comfy, and cozy Minky blankets and robes. Just in time for Mother's Day, save 50% off any regularly priced Minky Couture blanket using promo code KSL50 at checkout. Shop online at MinkyCouture.com or visit your local Minky Couture for special neighborhood deals. Again, save 50% with promo code KSL50 in stores or online at MinkyCouture.com.
Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa this weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa this weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates, this weekend only. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Hot tub starting at $2,999. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Friday, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free parking, free delivery. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandSwimSpaSale.com.
Welcome to Staples.
Hi, I hear Staples prints it all.
Oh, you bet. Posters, banners.
Can you print it all for Mother's Day?
Oh, of course. Photo gifts like canvas prints, photo puzzles.
Can you print it all for graduation?
Sure can. Custom cards and invites.
Can you print a huge banner with the grad's picture?
Oh, definitely.
Even an embarrassing baby picture?
Oh, those are the best kind.
I know, right?
Print it all for moms and grads at Staples. And right now, get 40% off custom cards, invites, and photo gifts. N75 exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for details.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million+ products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Take advantage of Yes Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric's $99 or it's free mainline drain clearing special. That's right, $99 or it's free. Feel secure knowing the trusted professionals at Yes guarantee that if we can't clear it, you don't pay for it. Whether it's a small clog or a larger mainline sewer drain issue, the experienced technicians at Yes are ready to solve all of your drain problems. Call now or visit theyesmancan.com for details, terms, and conditions.
You're stubborn. Okay, be stubborn. Don't admit you have hearing issues, but they won't go away. You'll just suffer with them. But you don't have to suffer. My Hearing Centers will fit you with a high-tech hearing aid that's powerful and barely noticeable. So if you're suffering from hearing loss, or if you have a hearing aid but it's 3 years or older, you owe it to yourself to schedule a free consultation at My Hearing Centers by calling 801-438-7058. With locations from Ogden to St. George, be smart, not stubborn with My Hearing Centers.
10:31 at KSL News Radio. I'm Heather Kelly. KSL's top local story this hour. Rain is expected to keep falling around the valleys into this afternoon. KSL meteorologist Matt Johnson says we should see a bit of a break in the Wasatch Front this evening, but then that rain will turn over to snow.
Not really looking at much in the way of valley snow, but there is a window to see some snow showers early Friday morning and then again maybe even into Friday afternoon.
Matt says that snow could fall during the morning commute. The valleys aren't expected to see much accumulation, but the benches could see a couple of inches. The mountains could also receive 4 to 12 inches of snow, with more in the cottonwoods. Southbound lanes of I-15 were closed overnight in Millard County for several hours after a wrong-way crash. The Highway Patrol says they responded to reports of a Tesla heading north in the southbound lanes. The car first sideswiped a semi-truck, then ended up crashing head-on into an SUV. The driver of the car and SUV were rushed to the hospital in serious to critical condition. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Artificial intelligence is here to stay, but a lot of Americans have concerns.
Researchers at Quinnipiac University asked 1,000 Americans for their views on artificial intelligence, finding that many of us worry about the impact of AI on politics, privacy, and job security. Most of the respondents were okay with police using AI tools like facial recognition to catch criminals, while 71% do not want artificial intelligence screening health insurance claims.
That's ABC's Jim Ryan reporting. Your money at this moment, the Dow has dropped 350 points, but the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ are up. Coming up, today's rain could turn to snow overnight. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:33.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Do you need new windows? Look, all glass pretty much looks the same to the naked eye, but if your windows aren't triple-coated, argon-filled and sealed double-pane glass, the cold is seeping in. You need to call Advanced Window Products. They use the highest quality glass and premium vinyl to create state-of-the-art windows and frames, and for 38 years, they build those frames right here in Utah. Custom crafted for Utah's climate. The best windows you can buy at prices 30 and 40% less than what the big companies charge because they cut out the middleman. They're the factory. They even give you a lifetime warranty, and right now as we head into spring, save an extra $2,500 off 10 windows or more. Custom windows that'll give your house a fresh new look and save you money on your heating and air conditioning. Advanced Windows offers 60-month 0% financing, even buy now, pay later, and an extra $2,500 off. Call for a quote. 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or go to advancedwindows.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account with built-in benefits, and the ramp from eastbound I-80 to head northbound I-215 near the airport. That is shut down right now due to a jackknife semi. It may be closed for a couple of hours while they try to get this semi out of the way. And then you have slowing pretty much anywhere else you're trying to get to. Rain in the valleys right now, slowing everybody down, especially on I-15 in all directions. And it turns to snow in the higher elevations, especially on US 40, where we've also had reports of a jackknife semi near Daniels Summit. And if you see something on the road, let us know on the KSL Mountain Home Services text line at 57500. Murdoch Chevrolet, home of 2.9% for 6 years on Silverado 1500. Rain off and on throughout the day, and then some of that rain turns to snow overnight. The benches could pick up a couple of inches, with mountains getting some significant snowfall. Right now, it's 39 degrees with rain. I'm Heather Kelly from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
We're going to talk about bird strikes and aircraft. You're like, why would Deb want this discussion to come up on the show today? Well, just a few days ago when I was sitting here, it was maybe Monday or Tuesday, talking to you about a completely unrelated topic, the story pops up on my newsfeed from the New York Times. And the headline is, Airport was repeatedly warned on bird strikes before deadly South Korea crash. The crash killed 179 people of the 181 people who were on board that flight in December. And just before that flight basically shot out of the sky and crashed at the airport, the pilot says, "Mayday, mayday, mayday," and had told air traffic controllers, according to the New York Times, there had been a bird strike as the plane was making its descent. So I couldn't look away from this story, and I decided to go down the rabbit hole of looking into how often this happens and the havoc that birds can wreak on aircraft.
And obviously with an international airport here in our backyard and having the Great Salt Lake and the number of birds that migrate through here, I guess I never really thought about it. I never thought about the threat of birds and bird strikes here in Utah and what we're doing about it, because obviously they're aware of it and they're doing a great deal.
We're going to have the director of operations from the Salt Lake International Airport on the line with us in just a few minutes and walk us through, they're going to great lengths there. They have a team, a team from what I've learned. So, but I want you to walk us through the video of what you're seeing in that South Korea crash that happened in December, because you said you just pulled up the video to watch this. Can you see the bird hit the plane?
No, but you can see the explosion in the right engine, the starboard engine. You can see, and it's very grainy, but you can see the moment it hits, and then this fireball comes out the back of that starboard engine. And then the crash, obviously, as it's coming down, it hits a wall at the Muan International Airport. And the devastation, the fire, the plane is missing its entire front half. Is
no
devastating
hope.
to watch. And then it's
There's
flipped
no hope.
over. No.
Yeah.
Well, I can't believe that 2 people survived, that they were able to find 2 people that survived in this.
Well,
But
the New York Times says that there was a warning. There was a series of warnings, and the latest one about birds in the area came 10 days before that deadly crash. That a group of people had met at the Muan International Airport for a meeting of the Bird Strike Prevention Committee, and they were being asked because there'd been data showing an increase in the number of incidents over the past couple of years, like birds flying into planes and causing all kinds of problems. So that one official asked, hey, what can we do about it? And the New York Times says, well, the answer wasn't reassuring. There wasn't enough people, cars deployed at the airport to keep the birds away. And the loudspeakers, which I guess they blare the loudspeakers to scare the birds, they broadcast the noises to scare them off, weren't strong enough to reach, much beyond the point of the airport. So the trouble was, brewing. They were on an apparent collision course to have something like what happened on December 29th happen, where the pilot starts yelling, "Mayday, mayday, mayday," and tells the air traffic controller there had been a bird strike on the plane. And then we have 179 people who lost their lives that day.
And when you started researching this, Debbie, and you found how often this happens, I bet our listeners have absolutely no idea how common it is, because we do see the stories and we remember the famous stories. This one, obviously, yeah. I can't help but remember the miracle on the Hudson, Captain Sullenberger. That was a bird strike as well.
Cactus 1539 hit birds, so you've lost thrust on both engines, returning back towards LaGuardia.
Okay, you need to return to LaGuardia. Turn left heading up 220.
220.
Cactus 1529. If we can get it for you, do you want to try to land runway 13?
We're unable. We may end up in the Hudson.
All right, Cactus 15.9. It's going to be left traffic to runway 31.
Unable.
Cactus 15.9. Runway 4 is available if you want to make left traffic to runway 4.
Idiot. I'm not sure we can make any runway. What's over to our right? Anything in New Jersey? Maybe Teterboro?
Okay, yeah. Off your right side is Teterboro Airport. Do you want to try to go to Teterboro?
Yes.
Cactus 1529. Turn right 280. You can land runway 1 at Teterboro.
We can't do it.
Okay, which runway would you like at Teterboro?
We're going to be in the Hudson.
We're going to be in the Hudson.
We're going to be in the Hudson. As chilling a statement that has ever been made with in regards to aircraft, and absolutely miraculous, he was able to land that plane.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody.
Canadian geese.
Canadian geese. We have Canadian geese, don't we?
Yeah, they took off from LaGuardia Airport. Of course, that's in New York City. Canadian geese disabled both the engines. So that was in 2009. I can't believe that was so long ago. And then, of course, they turned that into a movie.
No one warned us. No one said you were going to lose both engines at a lower altitude than any jet in history. This was dual engine loss at 2,800 feet, followed by an immediate water landing with 155 souls on board. No one has ever trained for an incident like that.
Yes, the movie was compelling and heroic. Obviously, there wasn't the tragedy, but the potential. That's what's so shocking about that story with Captain Sullenberger, is it wasn't a tragedy, because oftentimes if a plane goes down, it is devastating.
So 20,000 strikes in the United States recorded in 2023.
Say that number again. Wait, how many strikes are happening?
20,000 bird strikes in the United States in 2023.
That shocks me.
Yeah. 4%, according to the New York Times, caused damage. 4%. It's like a miracle almost every day.
Wow.
20,000. Double check me on that number. But I read that this morning. 20,000 strikes in the United States in 2023. 4% caused damage. I mean, it would make sense that the strikes were in the in the thousands because we have so many airports and so many birds everywhere. But then I called up
20,000.
20,000.
Yep, the FAA
Thank
reports on this, 713 airports.
Wow. It is truly like a miracle, given what happened in South Korea, that we don't see a lot more of that massive devastation with an aircraft when birds like Canadian geese fly into the engines. So straight ahead, we're going to get the Salt Lake International Airport Director of Operations on the air with us. I have the numbers, the specific data from the actual, their logs about bird strikes over the last couple of years. I'm going to give those to you in just a moment. But first, we want to get to some breaking news. We're just learning from our newsroom that Google has been declared an illegal monopoly by a federal judge, this time for exploiting some of its online marketing technology. According to what we know, the ruling was issued this morning by a judge out of Virginia. It comes on the heels of a separate decision in August. It found Google's search engine has been stifling competition and innovation. Google right now is currently worth $1.8 trillion. It's obviously, all of us use it probably every single day.
Every single day, it is the one that I use. I had no idea it was worth that amount of money, almost $2 trillion. Incredible. But yeah, Google has been declared an illegal monopoly by a federal judge.
In our newsroom, looking into next steps in this developing story.
You know how they always used to ask you in grade school, what do you want to be when you grow up? I bet I'm the only kid who ever stood proud and said, I want to be a rain gutter or siding installer. Jim Jr. here with RGS Exteriors, and man, I can still remember all those wannabe astronauts and quarterbacks looking at me like I was an idiot. Who would want to install rain gutters or siding? Somebody who was a fourth generation in business. That's who. My great-grandfather, T.R. Brown, started the company in the 50s. Then my grandfather took over from him, then my dad, Tim Sr., and now I've been at the helm since 2005. Every day I wake up and think, man, I'm living the dream. And now my own kids are starting to work in the business too. 5 generations. If you want gutters, siding, windows, or any exteriors on your home, and a company that really cares deep down to our souls, give RGS a call. 801-280-3110 or find us online, rgsutah.com. That's rgsutah.com. 801-280-3110, rgsutah.com.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out collection letters, garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it even harder to get out of debt. Don't let tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in taxpayer assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Let them fight on your behalf, helping to put your tax problems to rest. Call the tax professionals at Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-783-8055. 800-783-8055. 800-783-8055.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Any Hour Services free furnace sale is going on right now. If you haven't scheduled your free estimate yet, do it now. Call Any Hour Services today or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
David Dujanovic.
There's some more breaking news that we want to get to right now. Claire Scott in from the newsroom with the story that's developing out of Florida.
We're hearing that an active shooter has been reported at Florida State University in Tallahassee. According to an alert from FSU, the alert said police are responding to the scene, which is near the student union. We're hearing reports that at least 4 people have been hospitalized. Students and faculty have been instructed to continue to seek shelter and await further instructions. The FBI is assisting authorities at the university at this time and will continue to bring you the very latest. Reporting live, Claire Scott, KSL News Radio.
Thank you, Claire. We appreciate that update. I'm seeing a report from CNN right now that says that a suspect is in custody, and we'll continue to follow this.
Returning to our conversation about the number of bird strikes that happen, birds just like fly into aircraft. And it's like 20,000 of these situations across the United States just in 2023. And what really bubbled up for me in this conversation is what happened in South Korea. We're now learning that pilot of the aircraft that crashed in December with 181 people on board, 179 of those killed, had just mayday, 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 talking to air traffic controllers that there had been a bird strike. And then there had been a series of warnings regarding, not enough staff. Their loudspeakers at that particular airport weren't loud enough to blast, the scare tactic that blasts from the loudspeakers to keep the birds away. And now they're pledging to make changes at that airport. But it brought to mind to me, Dave, that we've had a pretty high-profile bird strike right here in Utah back in 2021. Do you remember that?
It was the Utah Jazz. They were flying. They're going to a game in Memphis shortly after taking off from Salt Lake International Airport. A flock of birds. They ran into those, and the players were shaken.
So where I sit on the plane is where I could see, the engine and everything. I happened to be being a bad kid and kind of getting up and grabbing something out of my bag while we was taking off. I just remember walking back to my seat, and as I got to my seat, I just hear a loud bang. Me and Mike looked at each other, and he was like, "Oh, those are the birds." I guess Mike seen the birds passing through the window, and then seen it as it was happening. So all I heard was a bang, and then I turned and look out the window and see the whole engine shaking and everything, and then you see everybody in the back reacting to what's going on, and a lot of the people in the back that were sitting behind the engine and stuff like that, they seen a burst of flames.
That was 4 years ago. That was jazzman Jordan Clarkson who experienced that.
And then I reached out to the Salt Lake International Airport, and I'm like, can I talk to somebody on the bird strike team? And so in a moment, we're going to get live with the director of operations. He's going to walk us through the measures that they go through around the clock to make sure, birds stay away from aircraft. But in the meantime, I also asked for the data. So I want to just go through how often it happens out there, at least in 2024. So last year they had 48 raptor strikes.
Wow.
290 what they call other bird strikes. 64 waterfowl strikes.
Ducks, geese, okay.
16 gull strikes.
Seagulls. State bird.
Seagulls, yeah. 26 mammal strikes. I don't know what all encompasses them, but that to me that's quite a few and we don't cover those every day. We don't hear about those every day.
Hundreds. This was shocking to me. I number one had no idea there were 19,000 bird strikes happening across the country, but when you bring it right here to Salt Lake, and we have over just the last several years, you have data from 2022, 23, 24, and they're pretty consistent. We have hundreds of bird strikes.
Trevor Anderson, Director of Airport Operations, good morning.
Good morning.
But there's also, tens of thousands of flights that take off in the course of a year at Salt Lake International. So I'm going to guess it's not higher than that because your team is out there working around the clock to make sure that birds stay away.
Yeah, it's a full-time job, being right next to the Great Salt Lake and just a lot of migratory birds that come through here at different times of the year. It's something that we dedicate a lot of time to on a daily basis. From dusk to dawn, we have people out there keeping an eye on the airfield, around the airfield, going to different places just to keep an eye on the sky to make reports and survey what's going on so that we can do what we can to keep airplanes away from the birds and the birds away from the airplanes.
Trevor, give us an idea. What are some of those mitigation efforts? What can you do?
Yeah, so some of the biggest things actually occur before a potential strike could happen. So we do a lot with habitat modification on the airfield. So we do, and around the airfield. So, ponding water, will correct those issues so that you don't get waterfowl, coming and finding a place to stay and live and lay eggs. And so we modify the habitat that way. Also, another thing that we do is we try to keep the rodent population really low on the airfield. So there's a lot of work going in and mowing our fields, and making it so the rodents don't want to be here, because that's when you get the raptors and birds like that that want to feed off of what's on the airfield. So those are some of the two biggest things that we do. And then we have a pretty, robust trapping group out there that is trying to trap the raptors, and when they catch them, they'll put a band on them and they'll drive them 150 miles away from here and let them go and hope that they find a new place to live, and so that they're not near the airport.
Trevor Anderson is the director of airport operations at Salt Lake International Airport, and we're talking about bird strikes, and just cited some data actually from the Salt Lake International Airport. You had 48 raptor strikes last year, 290 other birds striking planes, 64 waterfowl, 16 gulls. What's the bird that you worry about the most?
Yeah, so definitely the waterfowl, and part of that is they can be in flocks, and you talked about the situation in New York and Captain Soley and what happened there, and that was a flock of Canadian geese, and so waterfowl, when they get together in groups, could definitely be concerned, and then they can cause the most damage to aircraft. So a lot of focus around that, and you mentioned the mammals and that number 26 and what that means. And actually bats fall under the mammal category. And so that's really what takes up that category. So, even though you could get, skunks or, foxes or something like that, it's really more of the bats that fall in that category.
Well, thank you so much for sharing this data with us. Obviously, we haven't had any severe incident. Even the Jazz players, although they were a little bit rattled, nobody was injured. But we appreciate that level of transparency, giving us this data. Incredible. And I tell you, it was eye-popping, Debbie. I didn't realize it was so common. And it makes sense, though, right? I mean, we're right along the Great Salt Lake. Obviously, this is where we have so many migratory birds coming in, and you have to do a great deal to try to mitigate that.
The following is a test for Thursday, April 17th in conjunction with the Great Utah Shakeout Drill. Test, test, test. This is a test of the Utah Emergency Response. The State Emergency Operations Center is activated. Team Red is to report to their primary location. The Utah Air and Army National Guard has placed Team Gray on alert status on April 18th, 2025. Again, this is a test of the Utah Emergency Response. You've been listening to a test conducted on the occasion of the Great Utah Shakeout.
One of the best things about Advanced Garage Doors, they have 24-hour same-day service.
And plus, they offer a lifetime warranty. So if you get a garage door through them, make sure you ask them about the lifetime warranty. They'd love to tell you all about it. It includes labor, as long as you follow their recommendations.
We have a fantastic KSL listener special from Advanced Garage Doors. Gets you a free garage door opener when you purchase a garage door. You're going to get a free garage door inspection with no obligation. And if your garage door needs a little bit of a repair, how about an extra $100 off the parts?
And they've got those certified technicians who are standing by, available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, with same-day service. So important, because when a garage door goes kaput, it's never a convenient time, so they're there for you.
Make sure you check out their free zero-cost estimates. You can design the garage door of your dreams on their website. All you have to do is go to their website, advanced-door.com. That's advanced-door.com.
Or give them a call, 801-989-3667, 801-989-DOOR.
Delegate the work and chores and navigate your way to Beatty, Nevada, and elevate your springtime level of adventure, where daytime temperatures average 70 degrees and the dark night skies are awe-inspiring. Visit Beatty for your spring break, where you can explore hundreds of miles of scenic trails, perfect for hiking, mountain biking, and ATV adventures. Explore the historic ghost town of Rhyolite, view sculptures in the desert at the Goldwell Open Air Museum, and visit Eddy World, Nevada's largest candy store. Beatty is 7 miles from the most scenic entrance to Death Valley National Park, offers award-winning chili at the Happy Burro Chili, or Old Family Recipe ribs smoked daily at Smokin' Jay's. Find affordable lodging at the Stagecoach Hotel or the Atomic Inn, known for its quirky alien theme. Beatty RV Parks also offer 50-amp pull-throughs. Make a visit on April 26 for the annual off-road poker run. Details at BeattyNevada.org.
Will new tariffs impact small businesses? Rising costs and economic uncertainty can hurt your bottom line. But with Swish Funding, your business can stay strong. We offer fast, flexible funding solutions from $10,000 to $2 million for working capital, cash flow, and more, and as little as 24 hours with no collateral needed. If your business earns at least $50,000 per month and has been around for over a year, you could qualify today. Go to swishradio.com and use code GROW. SwishRadio.com, code GROW.
You know what's better than a limited time deal? An unlimited time deal. That's why the Wendy's $5 Biggie Bag with a Junior Bacon Cheeseburger, 4-piece nugs, Junior Hot and Crispy Fries, and small soft drink is available all the time. Because the best time for fresh, never frozen beef and Applewood smoked bacon is all the time. Duh. I feel like I'm repeating myself a lot. For the best deal of all time, gotta be Wendy's.
Unlimited time does not mean forever. U.S. price and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska, Hawaii, and California and via third-party delivery. Fresh beef available in the contiguous U.S., Alaska, and Canada.
On the surface, it seemed like just another Cinderella story.
A team that was predicted to finish dead last is now waiting to play the first round of the playoffs.
But Real Salt Lake's 2021 playoff run was so much more than what happened on the pitch.
Our club is burning to the ground.
This is the tip of the iceberg. Making of a Moment, the RSL story, is available now.
I just kind of got chills right now thinking about it.
Follow us at makingamomentpod.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Heather Kelly. KSL's top story this hour is breaking news. CNN is reporting a suspect is in custody on the campus of Florida State University in Tallahassee. FSU sent a report of an active shooter near the student union and urged students and staff to seek shelter about 40 minutes ago. We're hearing there are several hospitalizations, but the full extent of the injuries is not yet clear. The FBI is assisting authorities at the university. The Great Utah Shakeout took place this morning, where thousands of Utahns got under their desks or tables and practiced what they do in case of a large-scale earthquake. Emergency management specialist Brian Stinson at Be Ready Utah says they want us to take these yearly drills seriously because we live in a part of the world where large earthquakes are possible. And he says there's a lot that happens after an earthquake.
Most likely, most everybody's going to survive the earthquake. We need to talk about emergency communication plans, family reunification plans, and those things as well.
Stinson says we should all think about how we will communicate and reunite if cell phones don't work. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. A third official at the Pentagon has been placed on administrative leave as the investigation into alleged leaks at the Defense Department continues.
What we do know is that the leak investigation was launched in late March on the very day after Elon Musk visited the Pentagon. And of course, the night before, there had been a major story that Musk was coming to the Pentagon potentially to receive operational plans with regards to the U.S. military with regards to China. So the question is, which of these stories are these individuals tied to, or are they tied to any of them at all?
That's ABC senior Pentagon correspondent Luis Martinez. Your money at this moment, the Dow is lost 245 points, the S&P 500 up 43, and the NASDAQ has gained 53. Coming up, you may need your snow shovel. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:02.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
And now, the moment we've all been waiting for.
It's time to spring into summer with Soda Weight Loss, because right now, you'll get our biggest discount of the year.
Are you serious? Just 3 weeks in, and the pounds are dropping off very quickly. I am down 26 pounds in 3 weeks.
Every single day, Soda Weight Loss is helping people let go of the weight without drugs, without hunger, and the weight stays off.
I let go of 50 pounds. It felt unreal. I was so proud of myself. My body did exactly what it wanted to do. I just gave it its tools.
Let's spring into summer right now with Soda Weight Loss. If you want to look like this for summer, now is the time
time to join America's #1 weight loss company for client satisfaction and results.
Remember, this is our best offer of the year, so let's go.
Get started now at sodaweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com. Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
Did you hear? A recent stash of $10 gold Liberty coins from the 1800s has been found. These gorgeous gold coins are as bright and shiny as the day they were struck in the late 1800s. And less than 200 of these gold coins are available. Coin experts are calling this gold find an incredible opportunity. Call 1-800-917-4635 and you are guaranteed a $10 gold Liberty coin minted by the U.S. Mint in the 1800s. But with extremely limited availability, you must call now. These gold Liberty coins from the 1800s are still in uncirculated condition. That is history you can hold in your hand. To learn more, call 1-800-917-4635. Call now and you'll receive a free American Coin Collector's Bonus Package, a $40 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-917-4635 now to secure your $10 gold Liberty coins dated from the 1800s before they sell out. That's 1-800-917-4635.
Spring fever is heating up and Motorsportsland's Markdown Madness event is just beginning. Don't miss your chance to save big on your dream RV. Now through April 26th, score unbeatable deals on Utah's best RV selection. New travel trailers from $5 a day, fifth wheels from $14, and motorhomes starting at just $35 a day. With no hidden fees, just upfront pricing and a low-pressure buying environment. And mark your calendar for RV University, April 26th. Free seminars led by top manufacturers and our expert team. Seating is limited, so reserve your spot now at motorsportsland.com. For over 55 years, families have trusted Motorsportsland for honest pricing, flexible financing, expert service, and the best parts inventory in Utah. Markdown Madness ends April 26th, so come into a Motorsportsland RV Center today and let us help you get away.
Let Motorsportsland help you get away.
Motorsportsland.com.
Teens can get up to $200 with a Teen Learn and Earn account. Plus, continue earning rewards as they master the essentials of finance. More at cypresscu.com/teen.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's MyStyle checking account with built-in benefits. Here's Len Thomas.
Well, thank you, Heather. A jackknife semi is just off the connector ramp from eastbound I-80 to head northbound on the I-215 westbound. Now, that's got the ramp closed, and as a result of this, many drivers are going southbound on the west belt here and exiting on California. This is creating a backup on the eastbound I-80, but kind of like an accordion, picks up and then slows down. It's getting a little bit better there. And because of the rain and wet roads, you've got a little bit of slowing as you come around the point of the mountain as you make your way down into Utah County. Break your routine and into adventure in Cedar City, Bryan Head. Connect to nature. Cedar City makes spring the best break ever. Shopping, dining, and recreation galore. Break up your adventure. Visit cedarcity.com. Len Thomas, the KSL Traffic Center.
The rain in northern Utah tapers off this afternoon, but returns for the morning drive, and we could have snow on the valley floors. The sun returns on Saturday. Right now, it's 39 degrees and raining. I'm Heather Kelly from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
We talked quite a bit about election security here in the state of Utah, and there's been a good amount of focus, certainly, on it. So when this story crossed, I thought, well, let's see if there's, what's going on here with the election offices and get to the heart of this audit. The findings just came out, and let me just read the headline on KSL.com. It says, audit finds some Utah elections offices stored passwords in plain sight. And it also found some other security issues. So we're going to take a deeper dive into all of that in just a moment. But when I saw that headline, I'm like, uh-oh. Storing passwords in plain sight? Maybe something that we did 20 years ago, but not today. But this is what this legislative audit found.
Not to excuse it, I have a lot of compassion for people in passwords because every part of my life has a password somewhere. Every website, even even on websites that have no business having a password. It asks me for a password. So I have hundreds of passwords out there. I have to keep track of all of them. And then if I forget one, I've got to update it, and I've got to update it in my phone. How do you manage this many passwords, and how do you do it in a secure way? Because it is absolutely overwhelming trying to manage my passwords.
So here's my rule when it comes to passwords, okay? If you're not willing to put your user and password for your bank, your username and password for your bank, right smack dab on the front of your work computer, you should not be posting, any passwords and usernames to a secure, work website, particularly like things like elections.
Yeah.
Right smack dab. So if you're not willing to put your own password for your bank right there, then don't do it if you work in an elections office. So I have less compassion for that than you do, because we're working toward making sure elections are constantly secure. We know that Utah runs a very secure election. We hear from the county clerks, we hear from the lieutenant governor's office. And then when an employee puts their password and username or something like that on a Post-it note next to their computer, we got to bring an end to that.
Yeah, and where does that go? Where do we save that? And how do we access it? And if somebody changes it, does everyone have their own individual password? It gets very difficult, especially if you're working on a common system. Does everyone have their own personal login, or is there just one login that everyone else is using?
Taylor Morgan, one of our co-hosts of our afternoon show, Inside Sources. You've also worked in the elections office up on Capitol Hill at one point, right, Taylor?
That's right.
And you've read through the audit that came out of the Legislative Auditor's Office. So walk us through, mainly start with that focus right there on these passwords in plain sight. Was it a common issue, or is it just a one-off here and there in some of our elections offices throughout the state?
Yeah, great question, Debbie. Great to be with you this morning. This audit, first, just to clarify so everyone knows what we're talking about, this was a routine, legally required audit by the Legislative General Auditor's Office of Election Security. This is something that the Legislative Auditor's Office does every 2 years. It is a routine process, just double-checking, making sure that Utah's election systems are secure. The focus of the 2024 audit, which just concluded, and that is the report we're talking about, was on cybersecurity. And passwords was a big part of that. And to answer your question, the issue with passwords being out in the open, this was a one-off. This was just one instance, an isolated instance in one county where election officials had printed off credentials on some papers that were associated with election laptops. Now, to walk you through why this might be understandable, imagine having to use 3 different unique usernames and passwords to log into your bank account. Normally, you would never put your password out there. But what happened in this county is they had printed off cards with the credentials because in order to use these election laptops, election workers had to use 3 different usernames and passwords to get in. They had to log in with a computer username and a computer password. Then they had to log into Utah ID with a different username and password. And then they had to log into Vista, the statewide voter database, with another username and password. So we're talking about 3 layers of security. And you can imagine how challenging that would be to remember all those usernames and passwords. Now, I'm not excusing it or justifying it. There's a reason why we have so many layers of security. But in one county and one office, they had printed off some cards with that information for workers, I think just to make it easier to log in. And that will be stopped. That will no longer be happening. An isolated incidents again, but definitely something we should not be doing.
So, Taylor, I think that answered my question. My question mark was, does every individual employee have their own login, or was there like a group login that everybody was using?
It depends. Typically, each and every election worker should have their own unique login, but sometimes a clerk's office would have a common login to, say, the computer. And then an employee would, if they have credentials, if they are at a certain level of security, they would then have their own Vista login. It really just depends on the election office and the election workers, how long they've been there. We know that depending on what is happening with elections, our clerks often bring in temp workers to help process elections. And in that event, they may be using credentials for the office that aren't necessarily unique to them since they're a temporary employee.
We're speaking to Taylor Morgan, one of the co-hosts of Inside Sources right here on KSL News Radios in the afternoon. He also at one point worked in the election office here in the state of Utah. We're talking about an audit that just was revealed and you said it is a regular audit. This is nothing out of the ordinary. It is every couple of years, the Legislative Auditor General goes in and audits to just make sure that all the I's and T's are crossed when it comes to our elections. And the thing out of this audit that we're focusing on is in one county, there was passwords that were available. Like, it sounds like they kind of set them maybe by the computer or in the office there. But I think it's important for context in this, Taylor. There's no indication that somebody from outside the election team use these passwords in any way to access election information. Am I correct? I mean, you're the one that read through the audit, so I'm hoping you can bring us some context there.
That's right, Debbie. Only election workers had access to these login credentials, and the audit found that there was no misuse of these credentials. There's been no evidence whatsoever of anyone logging in who shouldn't have logged in. The issue is just printing off those credentials, even if they were directly taped to the election laptop. Just printing them off is not a good idea. That was the concern. Again, we're talking a very isolated incident in one county, one office. The audit simply said that's not a good practice. We shouldn't do that. But the audit also concluded that there were no instances of our elections being exploited or being attacked via, cybersecurity threats. Our elections are secure. We're simply auditing every detail of our process to make sure that nothing like that could ever happen.
Taylor, great insight. Thank you so much for joining us. Taylor Morgan, a co-host of Inside Sources.
To your point earlier, we've got a lot of passwords just in our personal lives, in our professional lives. We're trying to juggle all these passwords all the time, and then we're told, get a unique password for every single app that we're on. I want to give you a list of issues that we have when it comes to password reuse. We have a huge issue with that. Everybody does this. So there are so many common passwords that are constantly reused. You talk about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is one of the biggest, most reused passwords. Not saying at all that this is connected to what's going on in that audit, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Password is another common password. The word password is a common password. User, USR, which removes the E, super tricky. So, we have issues beyond people writing down passwords and sticking them on their computer or putting them next to their desk. We have issues where passwords are constantly reused and they're so common that they're easily hacked.
Joining us right now is one of our information security managers here at Bonneville International, Jared Houghton. And Jared, give us a little bit of an idea, because it can be overwhelming when you're dealing with so many passwords. Let's start off straight out of the gate. And we've had a fair amount of training here. We do a fair amount of training about how to make a strong password. Give our listeners an idea. What is a strong password? What does it look like?
Yeah, absolutely. A strong password it's going to be complex. There's going to be a length to it. Most systems that you create logins for are going to have a minimum requirement for complexity, for the length. Generally, that's about 12, and they're going to want you to use a special character, a number, uppercase, lowercase. My personal preference is if you're doing a password about 18 characters, you're going to want 3 special characters, 3 numbers, 3 lower, 3 upper. Another way for remembering your password easily, another way to create a password is do a passphrase. So a phrase that's anywhere from 20 to 25 characters long that you can easily remember. Just don't use any commonly used words or something that somebody can guess about you, or using family members, pets, names, things like that.
Don't use the word password.
Yep, don't use the word password.
Don't use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 1, 2, 3, 4. QWERTY is another one because that has to do with like home row on your keyboard. QWERTY. It's on the top 10 list of most commonly reused passwords. But talk about why it's a bad idea to print out passwords and set them on the desk next to your computer. I'm thinking about all the people that come through, for example, our newsroom. We have a lot of people. I believe, all of them are going to be honest, but still, you just never know. It could be, people that are cleaning the office. It could be visitors. They're constantly coming through. So talk about, this practice. It's just not a good idea.
Absolutely. So yeah, writing the password down and putting it on the computer or even under your keyboard or a drawer in your desk. You don't know who's always coming through. So anybody that, picks up the password, picks up the keyboard, they have access to what you have access to. And depending on your job role, that could be absolutely critical if there's somebody there meant to do harm.
So when we're looking at passwords, what is the best way to store them? Because if we don't have access to them, if we don't write them down, we obviously have so many passwords, it's impossible to remember. How do we keep track of them?
Absolutely. The best way is a password manager. So
like a secured app?
Like a secured app or, a piece of software that you create a initial password that encrypts what you would call a vault, and then you use that one password to access all your other logins that you would save for all the other things that you log into.
Is this an app that I can download, or where do I get this password manager?
There are definitely many options. Yeah, so on your smartphone, you can go to the App Store, look for a password manager. There's a couple options there. The advantage to that is it gives you access to the passwords not only on your phone, but if you're on your computer, they have browser extensions for them. They autofill, but it's secure, it's encrypted. Only you have that master password that allows you to access your information within that vault.
The other step that I've taken to enhance security on my own phone, you think about all of the apps we have, whether they're banking apps, it might be Venmo, it may be some sort of a app that, I have like Acorns that takes money out of my checking account when I round up for purchases, is I've gone to two-factor authentication. And that also, like a lot of these apps will let you do like Face ID as well. I think that's helpful to just add that extra layer of security in case, it's like for me, it's my phone if it slips into the wrong hands. And I also have, a number password on my phone. So you have to know that password in order to open my phone to begin with.
Right. Biometrics is definitely a really secure way to be able to access information, as well as multi-factor. The only thing with multi-factor is if you ever get a multi-factor prompt logging into something and you're not actively logging into something, you just got to make sure not to accept it. But yes.
That's a good point. Can you expand on that?
Yes, absolutely. So if you have multi-factor authentication set up to log into your bank account and you're driving down the road, there's no way that you're logging into your bank account and all of a sudden you get the prompt say, hey, you're logging into your bank account. And most multi-factor solutions will actually tell you where you're logging in from as well. There's a couple components to that, but you're driving down the road, you get the multi-factor authentication prompt saying, hey, are you trying to log into your bank account except to log in?
Mm-hmm.
Don't do that. A lot of people
somebody's
get in
trying
trouble.
to access your bank account.
And then immediately when you get the next chance, go in, change your password.
I just had that happen.
You did?
To my Acorns account, Debbie.
What?
Yeah, I got a little prompt that said, hey, here's your passcode, the 6-digit passcode to enter. I'm like, I am definitely not trying to log in right now. So I immediately went into my app, changed the password right there. But it got my heart racing because I don't know how the hackers work. I don't know what their workarounds are. But if I feel, the spidey sense, or if I get an alert there, I just go in there and immediately change the password. I would assume that's just the best advice you can have. If you feel like something's been compromised, just go in and change it.
Absolutely.
Well, great advice. Thanks for joining us. Jared Houghton, he's with our IT. What's your title in IT? You're like the top guy, aren't you?
I'm the Information Security Manager for Bonneville International.
Thanks. Thanks so much. Thanks also for keeping us safe around here. I appreciate it. With all of the things that we have to log into and everything else, it's a tough job. So we appreciate it, Jared.
Well, and there's authenticator apps as well. I mean, that's another thing. If you're working, there may be an authenticator app. And as much as it can be frustrating to have to jump through the hoops and log in and do this, do that, there's a purpose and there's a reason behind it, because there have been huge security breaches that has cost companies millions and millions of dollars.
Absolutely. Thanks as well to Taylor Morgan for bringing us the latest on that legislative audit that was issued regarding election security. Appreciate keeping up to speed. You can hear Inside Sources every day right here, by the way, which Taylor's a part of our team on that show from 1 to 3 right here on KSL News Radio. Straight ahead, we learned this morning off the top of the show that it wasn't 152 dogs that were being held in, quote, extremely poor conditions in Ogden, inside an Ogden home. But in fact, when Mike Anderson of KSL 5 Television joined our show, he told us that number has gone up because it was an additional 4 dogs they found inside that home, Dave.
For a grand total of 156. What is happening with hoarding animals in Ogden? This is a repeat offender.
911, what's your emergency?
They kidnapped my son.
What would you do if your child disappeared and someone you trusted was responsible?
We thought he cared for McKay, when in fact he didn't care for anyone.
Listen to Ransom now at ransompodcast.com.
I don't want my water softener taking up very much brain power. I want to be able to have it installed, throw a little salt in the bin, and then that's it. I want to get that soft water 24/7, and that's exactly what I get from Kinetico. Most water softeners use a finicky, hard-to-adjust computer to guesstimate when to cycle. And when it does that, it errs on the side of cycling too often. And what that means to you is it burns through way too much salt way too often. So instead of adding salt like I do to my Kinetico system once every few months, you might be replacing it every few weeks. Kinetico is different. It has an all-mechanical system. It measures water precisely. No computer, no guesstimating. It's only cycles when needed. And the result is Kinetico gives you that perfectly soft water 24/7. It uses minimal salt. It actually saves you about 2/3. 2/3 the salt. Instead of one bag, instead of 3 bags, you only have to carry 1. So go ahead and reach out to Kinetico. Call Northern Utah's authorized Kinetico dealer, Kinetico's Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake, right now at 801-576-8600. That's 801-576-8600, or you can log on at softwaterutah.com.
Did you hear? A recent stash of $10 gold Liberty coins from the 1800s has been found. These gorgeous gold coins are as bright and shiny as the day they were struck in the late 1800s. And less than 200 of these gold coins are available. Coin experts are calling this gold find an incredible opportunity. Call 1-800-917-4635 and you are guaranteed a $10 gold Liberty coin minted by the U.S. Mint in the 1800s. But with extremely limited availability, you must call now. These gold Liberty coins from the 1800s are still in uncirculated condition. That is history you can hold in your hand. To learn more, call 1-800-917-4635. Call now and you'll receive a free American Coin Collector's Bonus Package, a $40 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-917-4635 now to secure your $10 gold Liberty coins dated from the 1800s before they sell out. That's 1-800-917-4635.
Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa this weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa this weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates, this weekend only. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Hot tub starting at $2,999. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Friday, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free parking, free delivery. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandSwimSpaSale.com.
We just want to have enough money for retirement.
And travel to visit our grandchildren.
I understand. That's why at Fisher Investments, we start by getting to know each other so I can learn about your family, lifestyle, goals, and needs, allowing us to tailor your portfolio.
What about commission-based products?
We don't sell those. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in your best interest.
So how do your management fees work?
We have a simple management fee based on the value of your portfolio, so we do better when you do better.
We appreciate that kind of transparency.
We also check in with you regularly to keep you up to date on the markets and your portfolio.
What other services do you offer?
As a client, you have access to resources on investing, financial planning, estate planning, Social Security, Medicare, and more.
Wow, it sounds like Fisher Investments has everything we need.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
The murder of two men forces their families to wrestle with impossible questions. Who is forgiveness for? Does everyone deserve a second chance? Follow Season 2 of The Letter, Ripple Effect, at theletterpodcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott. KSL's top story this hour. Google has been declared an illegal monopoly by a federal judge, this time for exploiting some of its online marketing technology. The ruling issued this morning by a Virginia judge comes on the heels of a separate decision in August that found Google's search engine has been stifling competition and innovation. Google is currently worth $1.8 trillion. And we're keeping an eye on a campus shooting this morning at Florida State University. CNN reports the suspect is in custody and at least 4 people are being treated at a nearby hospital. We'll continue to bring you the very latest. Expect to see rain continue into this afternoon here in Utah, a break this evening before rain turns to snow overnight and could reach valley floors tomorrow morning. KSL meteorologist Matt Johnson says the valleys won't see much accumulation.
Mountaintops looking at about 4 to 12 inches, with the higher amounts found in the Cottonwoods, Central Mountains, and Southern Mountains.
We could see a couple of inches of snow as far down as the benches. Your money at this moment, the Dow is down 427 points, the S&P is up 19 points. And coming up, rain into the afternoon. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:31.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
It's hard to believe, but summer's right around the corner. Make sure your home stays cool with a brand new air conditioner and get a free furnace for next winter. That's right. When you purchase the premium air conditioner or heat pump from Whipple Service Champions, you'll get a brand new furnace absolutely free. You just pay for the labor to install. This deal won't last long. Schedule your free estimate today. Book online at whipplethataway.com. whipplethataway.com.
Utah. Have you been to a Utah Hockey Club game at Delta Center? If not, you are missing out. The NHL's newest team is heating up in the push towards the playoffs, and the atmosphere inside Delta Center is electric. Find your seats at UtahHockeyClub.com or on SeatGeek, the official ticketing partner of the Utah Hockey Club.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's MyStyle checking account with built-in benefits. Here's Len Thomas.
Well, we're looking at a little bit of a jackknifed semi. This happened earlier. Now it's just off the connector ramp to go northbound on the West Belt I-215 from eastbound I-80 to head northbound again on I-215. The ramp is still closed while crews are getting the trailer cleared. There's a tow truck out there right now. This has sent some drivers southbound on the West Belt to exit on California. That did create a slowdown southbound on the I-215, but that is picking up traffic now. But watch out for wet roads out there. And if you see something in traffic, let us know on the KSL Mountain Home Services text line at 57500. Create your floral sanctuary with Olson's Greenhouse, locally grown premium quality flowers to complement porches, patios, containers. Don't miss Olson's Container Fest, Saturday, April 26th at all Home Depots. Details at ogg.com. I'm Len Thomas in the KSL Traffic Center.
The storm moves south through the afternoon, with snow coming in overnight and continuing in the upper elevations tomorrow. Highs in the 50s today and tomorrow. Right now it is 39 and rainy. I'm Claire Scott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories. On KSL News Radio, Dave and Dujanovic. Dave and Dujanovic. Special coverage of the top local story.
And this is a story, man. 156 dogs, I think mostly Chihuahua mixed breed dogs, have been rescued from a single home in Ogden. 156 dogs. When we began the show this morning, we thought it was 152, but when Mike Anderson of KSL 5 Television joined us, he jumped in the conversation. It's like it's now up to 156.
And this isn't wide open spaces. Mm-mm. This is not a large farm. This is not a rescue shelter. This is a home. And it's housing 156 dogs in extremely poor conditions, according.
Can you imagine?
No.
I'm looking at this from so many different sides. First of all, at one point I had 3 cats because I had a friend pass away. She had 2 cats. I agreed to take them into my home. I already had a cat. And that's a little bit of a misnomer. I'm bearing the lead. We also had dog Riley at the time. We also had 2 birds at the time. We also had a friend's hamster at the time because their child had decided they no longer wanted the hamsters. So we had...
You had a zoo.
Yeah. I just couldn't do that again. It was really tricky. I lost count of how many animals that we had in our home at that point. And thankfully, and all the cats were indoor cats. So that becomes an issue. And thankfully I had my daughter on hand to help, and she's an animal lover like I am, but it's a lot. I just can't imagine 156. Not 156. So I think about it from that angle. I think about it also from this angle, being the neighbor.
Oh, if you're the neighbor, how do you, number one, not realize what's going on? Right? Either these animals are locked up, cooped up inside the house 24/7, or they're being released, or they're getting, like prison, you're getting an hour of sunlight a day. So how do you not realize what's going on?
And then the other angle I look at this from is the person who's accused of doing this. My heart goes out to them, honestly. I know there's all kinds of different opinions about it, but I want to qualify what I mean about that is I have been in a number of homes as a television news reporter over the course of decades in my career, where people collect, and I'll just go so far as to say is hoard all kinds of different things. In one case, I tell the story of when I walked into a home to do an interview with somebody. We're setting up the camera gear, and I look around the home, and it is littered with ketchup bottles. Okay, open, used ketchup bottles in the kitchen, on the kitchen counter, on the coffee table, and the living space smells of ketchup. And I felt badly for this person because they did not think anything was wrong with that. Okay, they just did not.
That was the normal.
They didn't even acknowledge that I was doing an interview surrounded by ketchup bottles with them, and the smell of vile, rotten ketchup in their home did not even cross their mind. So when I walked away from that experience, I realized that they don't see that the way I see that. Is that is not, it's just not how most of us live, and they just accepted that as part of how they lived, and they collected ketchup bottles, used open ketchup bottles. So that's where I'm coming from. But there's a lot of issues with this, that when people begin hoarding animals, it creates problems in the neighborhood. It creates problems on the property. And I think about what Mike Anderson told us of KSL 5 Television, who's been tracking this story, is when he walked up to the home.
Well, he did not answer, but there was a very strong smell coming from inside, and flies around the porch. And so, very concerning situation.
How could you possibly care for 156 animals? I looked up. I was just curious. How much food would you have to feed in a given day? So I looked up, what does a Chihuahua typically eat? Well, let's say half a cup to a cup of food per day, spread out over 3 or 4 meals. A cup, so 8 ounces. If you had 153 or 156 dogs, you're looking at somewhere between 50 and 75 pounds of dog food per day. To feed these animals. It's impossible. Not only is it unaffordable, these animals have to be starving.
Also, keeping up after one dog in the yard?
Yes.
Yeah, in terms of dog fecal matter. It's hard enough. At the end of I would go out several times a week, but sometimes on really busy weeks, I'd get out there maybe a couple times a week if I was lucky. And it's like, oh, I'll be out here for 2 hours trying to find all the landmines Riley left for me. Mike also explained he tried to help us understand what was going on in this particular situation up in Ogden, where authorities have said they've now rescued 156 dogs from one home.
He would run under the idea that he too was an animal rescue, and became pretty known in the Hispanic community. In fact, would go on Hispanic radio rather, and just talk about the importance of getting your dog spayed and neutered, stuff like that. And he got known to the point where he told her that people would tie dogs to his fence and just leave them because they were just surrendering them to him.
And part of what is so difficult about this story when we're talking about 156 animals, and as they were rescued, they have to be checked out by a vet before they can be put up for adoption. Are these going to be spayed and neutered? Are they going to be given vaccinations? And part of what makes this so incredibly difficult is right now, the shelter community is already overwhelmed and at capacity.
We had my friend and also our colleague, Emma Donaldson, joined the show in the 9 o'clock hour when we were talking about this, and she is involved in animal rescues. In fact, the last time I was at her home not too long ago, she had 2 little sweet dogs curled up on the sofa, and was it Sugar and Salt or Salt and
Sugar
Pepper?
and Spice.
Sugar and Spice is what she named them. They were, and she said, those are from a rescue, where I believe there was I'm not quite, maybe 20 dogs that they had just gone in and rescued from a home. And she explained, in Weber County where this took place, the shelters are already at capacity. So you add the influx of the sheer number of 156 dogs. And
ever since COVID, when everybody went back to work, COVID ended, everybody who adopted a pet, we had 70 dogs return in 1 month in just our little rescue. And we're volunteer-based. Nobody gets paid. Not the people who run our organization, not people like me who just find places in their house to foster a dog. And so they put this out, and what they're asking people to do right now is sign up to foster these dogs that are already at Weber. Weber was already at 100% capacity, and now they have, I don't know if you look, but they have 90 kennels. They're two-sided, so they can house safely 182 dogs. This one incident will practically fill it, and they were already at 100% capacity.
That is just incredible to think of. This shelter could basically have no animals in there, and this one instance would basically fill everything. That's the amount of overcrowding that we're looking at.
I think a lot of people, when they hear stories like this, they want to jump in and help. It's like, how can I help? So that's the next phase of this. I'm sure Mike Anderson of KSL5 TV will be looking into that. Like, when will these dogs go up for adoption once, animal services make sure they're healthy and they're adoptable?
Yeah, and one of the dangers of this, as Amy Donaldson was sharing some of her expertise in this, having fostered so many dogs, is when they are rescued. Oftentimes these animals, at no fault to their own, have behavioral problems because they've been mistreated for so long or been neglected for so long.
Yeah. I remember those two cute dogs on her sofa that night. One they were literally spooning. It was just so sweet.
Just cuddled up.
And one seemed to be comforting the other, their sibling. Yeah, like one was more frightened than the other. And the one, like, I just remember looking at it, I was like, that is so sweet. And of course she said, do you want 2 dogs? I said, I just can't. I think that's another important thing, is like, know your limit. And I learned that when we had so many different rescues going on all at once. So we'll continue to track that story with the help of our partners at KSL5 Television, Mike Anderson in the northern Utah area, covering stories that develop up there. I'm sure he's going to be tracking like what is happening to these 156 dogs out of that one home and when they go up for adoption. And he will keep us all posted on that. So thanks, Mike, for your coverage. Straight ahead, ABC News' Mike Dubusky with an inside look. I think he's joining us live. He's at the New York International Auto Show, Dave, checking out all the new cars.
New cars.
The other question I want to ask him about, because, we always need a Debbie Downer moment when we're talking about things that are so upbeat, is I wonder if the talk of these looming tariffs is top of mind and how much it could potentially push up the price of a new car. We're going to get Mike Dubusky live on the line next.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. Since 1953, Layton Construction has been perfecting their craft, growing nationwide and improving the build world by providing predictability in an industry that's anything but predictable. Layton Construction's Vice President of Marketing, Tim Garrick, joins us with more.
For more than 70 years, Layton Construction has proudly called Utah home. The work that we've done in that time will forever impact the state, its people, and the business community. Together with our trusted trade partners, we've built the places where hundreds of thousands of Utahns live, where we work and study, where we play, and where we heal. The same principles that Alan W. Layton instilled in the company in the early years, honesty, safety, quality, and unity, still guide us today. These values have sustained our longevity and have fueled our growth as we become one of the nation's largest builders. And with that comes opportunities for career advancement. So we encourage and offer our employees training to develop their skills so they can grow with the company. In fact, that's one of the primary reasons Utah Business Magazine recognized Layton Construction among the state's best companies to work for in 2024. To learn more, visit laytonconstruction.com.
No matter the location, Layton Construction thrives where precision meets pressure. From active university campuses to data centers that can't afford a millisecond of downtime, Layton is involved with every sector that matters. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
Healthcare with human kindness is here. It's at Common Spirit Health. Hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advance healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Together, we have a common purpose, partnering with you in health and healing using powerful medicine, powerful technology, and the greatest power of all, human kindness. You'll know it when you see it, because human kindness is in every care site and in every caregiver. Common Spirit Health. Hello, human kindness.
It's time for the
Dave and Dujanovic.
New York International Auto Show. So we're going to take you live back east to talk about what the cool cars are on display.
I think this is where we find out who the car of the year is, Debbie. This is the world car of the year. Does anyone win other than like Ferrari and Lamborghini? Who actually lands with world car of the year?
Hi, Mike. You there?
Yes.
Oh, hi, Mike. Mike
Hi.
Dubusky of ABC News, your technology reporter. Did you get to the show today?
I sure did. Yes, I just got back a couple of minutes ago, as a matter of fact. I'm back at ABC News headquarters now. But you are right to say that, yes, this is where they hand out the World Car of the Year awards. This is an award ceremony where a bunch of journalists from around the world, the automotive press that spans the globe, comes together and they vote. They test cars from new manufacturers, both domestic and abroad, to find out kind of who deserves their flowers this year. And there are some interesting winners this year. The World Car of the Year overall, guys, was the Kia EV3, which is an electric hatchback from Kia. They don't sell it in the United States just yet, but they do say that they're planning to shift production to to bring this car to the United States to sell it here. However, where it is produced could play a major role in when and how much that's going to cost, because, of course, hanging over this whole show, guys, is talk of the tariffs.
Is there any better clarification of who will be affected and how much these cars will be affected? Because so often when building a car, they are built in multiple places, or they have multiple places where they access the parts and put it together.
Right. Cars are a remarkably global business in that regard, and maybe no surprise given how complex they are, right? Transmissions may come from one place, engines might come from another, and then the whole thing might get assembled in a completely different country. And that is just the nature of the beast as we've kind of built it over the last several decades. In terms of who's going to be most affected, it is going to be companies like Kia and like Hyundai that really build a fair amount of their cars outside of the United States. They have a handful of factories in the U.S., but they also build in South Korea, and they build in Europe, and they import those cars to the United States. That makes sense for their business model, and they're a relatively low-cost manufacturer, right? They're designed to go up against Chevy and Ford, not Cadillac and Lincoln. And given that the expectation is these tariffs could potentially, if worse comes to worst, add $6,000, $8,000, $10,000 to the price tag of these new cars, well, then that kind of pushes them out of competition with the people who do manufacture things here. But even still, guys, it's even more complicated than that, because the idea is if, the prices of certain cars go up, well, demand for the cars that are built here and don't have the tariffs imposed on them is going to increase, and that's going to put more pressure on price as well. So you talk to analysts on the ground and they tell you, well, hey, these tariffs, despite the fact that they're targeted at foreign-built cars that are sold here, it's going to make prices go up across the board.
Mike Dubusky, live from ABC News headquarters in New York right now, and just got back from the big car show there. It sounds fascinating. Could you drill down a little bit on the tariffs and the increased prices? Because I think this has a lot of people kind of curious, like thinking about maybe I need to do something before the prices go up. Is it just all going to be based on the size of the price of the car? Like, if you know what I'm saying, like if it's a 25% tariff and the car is $40,000, well, then you can do the math on that.
Well, in some ways, yes, that we do expect, there to be an increase in cost, but it's not necessarily one-to-one, right? In other words, like if my car is $30,000 and it has a 25% tariff on it, it's not going to go up by 25% exactly. That's not what we're expecting to have happen. These automakers make things at scale, right? And they're able to absorb some of these costs initially, but given the scale of these tariffs, 25% on foreign-built cars imported here, before we even talk about the tariffs that are coming on car parts, that means that, we are expecting on average between $6,000 and $8,000 to be added to the average price of a new car. And the average price of a new car in the United States, guys, is about $50,000. So that is pretty expensive, and it's a pretty expensive proposition. I'll just give you a good case study here at the show. Kia pulled the wraps off a new electric sedan. It's called the EV4. It's got really compelling range figures for an electric vehicle, about 330 miles of range, and estimates when this thing was first being talked about had this in the mid $30,000 range, but they built it in South Korea and they plan to put the EV4 on sale in the U.S. in the first quarter of 2026. That is not that long of distance away, right? That is not enough time to build a factory here or, spin up production lines, which means that this would be one of the cars that is affected by that. Something during a lot of these press conferences that you were hearing yesterday, talking about new features, new engines, new electric propulsion systems. not a lot of talk of pricing, and I think that really says it all, guys.
Mike, as you're talking about the World Car of the Year, it's is it the Kia EV3?
Yeah, the EV3. So the EV4 is what we saw at the show. That's the sedan. The EV3 is kind of like the hatchback version of that. And they say they do plan to bring both to the U.S. They don't have specific timeframes on the EV3. But the EV4, they're still targeting for Q1 2026, which I think is going to be really interesting to watch. Kia had a lot of new product on the floor. They also unveiled a slightly more powerful version of their electric 3-row EV9. And they have a new hatchback version of the K4. So that's sort of their small gas-powered car. But guys, Subaru was actually the big car company that really headlined the show. They had 2 new electric vehicles and a new Outback, which is their sort of lifted wagon, one of their flagship vehicles. They were making a lot of headlines yesterday and garnered a lot of attention as a result.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Mike. Great report, ABC technology reporter Mike Dubusky from New York. So thanks, Mike.
Yeah, it makes me glad that I accidentally bought a new car last year. It was a year and a half ago. My car's a year and a half old. I honestly, I don't know what it would have meant in terms of pricing because I bought a Toyota. So, I know some are made here. I don't think mine was. I think we were tracking it from overseas. It's not because it was some amazing special order either. It was just because the RAV4 is so incredibly popular.
And you wanted it in white.
Yeah, I wanted it in white, but we had to. It was just how they were doing things back then, right? It was like you have to come in and kind of order it, and then it arrives. And I remember I got in earlier than I was expecting. It's going to be, I just can't imagine if that car would have cost me $6,000 or $7,000 more.
I was told a story of someone that had ordered a boat, a high-end boat, and they were waiting to see if it arrived before the Trump tariffs had taken place. Remember, now the Trump tariffs were in place for a number of hours before there was a pause on them. But they said the difference would have been almost $100,000 difference.
I think this alone is going to have a lot of people rethinking, can I afford it? Do I want that larger payment? Is, $10,000 or in that case, $100,000. Maybe they were paying cash. I don't know. If you're ordering a high-end boat, maybe you're paying cash. That's a significant amount of money. Cars are on average $50,000 for a new car, so maybe it'll send people flocking to the used car sector more and more, or at least taking a pause, hesitating, thinking through it. That's a significant chunk of additional cost to the family budget. $10,000.
Coming up next, we have Maria Chaleos up with Utah's new news. There were shots fired at Florida State University today as students were moving about Tallahassee campus. Authorities are on scene. They've been evacuating students in the vicinity. There is a suspect in custody. Maria Chaleos will have us give us the latest on Utah's new news.
Jeff Kaplan.
When I was a kid, my parents got me a subscription to Newsweek magazine. I would devour every page into the night. And to this day, I sit on my iPad looking for stories for my Minute of News, flesh out our coverage, and I get to share the news with you.
Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News, 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
I love companies here in Utah, especially ones with great track records. And one of the great track records is Master Electrical Service. They've been around since 1954. And now they've joined forces with Mountain Home Services.
So together, think of all the things that they can do to help you with the things that you need done inside your home. I mean, they can work on your HVAC, your heating and air, your plumbing. They can install that gas fireplace that you've been looking forward to. Or, maybe you have some problems with some outlets that need to be checked out. They've got you covered.
Yeah, just one phone call, one visit to the website. That's all it takes. It all comes with this upfront pricing guarantee, which means when they come out and they give you a bid, they will honor that bid.
That's right. No hidden fees. So the price that they quote you up front, it means the price you're going to pay when the job is done. And it also comes with that 100% satisfaction guarantee.
Learn more. Visit their website, mountainhomeservices.com, mountainhomeservices.com.
And here's their phone number, 801-543-2222. Again, 801-543-2222.
Life can feel hard or overwhelming sometimes, but you don't have to face things alone.